Our next speaker is Mr. Sameer Modi, founder and managing director, Modi Care. An alumnus of Harvard Business School, he is an entrepreneur constantly striving to bring new and radical ideas to life. One such idea was to establish Color Cosmetics in 2004, which today is the third largest cosmetics brand in an industry dominated by international giants. I would request Mr. Modi to join us on screen.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here today amongst all of you. My address today is called The Silver Lining Playbook. I've been told that there's an award-winning Hollywood film by this name. I hope you'll excuse me for not watching the movie yet, but I'm sure I'll get to it at some point in time. Let me attempt to justify why The Silver Linings Playbook. Please bear with me as I use examples of my brands simply because they're contextual and I'll be able to readily relate to it. Needless to say that post the pandemic, this year has been nothing but tough on all of us. People, communities, businesses, including the world economy. Businesses, industries, especially us the retailers, have suffered tremendous setbacks because clearly none of us had a handy playbook for a pandemic of this proportion. Now we can either focus on a doomsday scenario or find a possibly thin but truly preset silver lining. I choose to look at the silver linings. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur after all, and all my life have been and believe that every change, how good or bad, brings opportunities along. Not discounting the fact that we have all learned a lot and possibly the world might never truly recover from this, but then human resilience has made us survive over centuries, and the way I see it, we plan to survive for the next few centuries too. You might be aware that I lead three very distinct and diverse businesses. 24/7, a round-the-clock convenience store chain, Color Cosmetics, a leading player in the beauty space today, and of course, Modi Care, the leading direct-selling company in India. When I see the current situation from where I stand, and as an entrepreneur leading these brands, I see a slow revival in the retail business and sustained performance in another. I have tried to understand the present context and the coping mechanism of the retail industry as compared to other segments of the economy. And we all deserve applause for our collective efforts. All of us tried our best to find a way to wade through this deluge of sorts. The race towards growth and survival, knowingly or otherwise, the retail industry moved into essential and non-essential division. That, in a way, gave us all clarity and purpose. As consumer behavior changed rapidly across the globe, the retail industry developed new strategies to meet consumer needs and demands. Essential goods were in high demand due to the fear of lockdown. Some of us reinvented the way we operated, and some of us reinvented our product lines. Companies focused on PPEs, extra sanitization, contactless delivery, local manufacturing, and poised to do more and get better traction. Who would have thought that a cosmetics company, Color, will make sanitizers? I would not have imagined this until the COVID-19 situation hit us. We are all doing unimagined today. Retailers swiftly switched to online selling to address changing consumer behavior. We at 24/7, the only round-the-clock convenience store, has switched to being 24 hours to a 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. store, and also adapted to the new ways of sales, our own contactless home delivery service, tabs with other delivery services. We have to think of strategies that could revive revenues of the business within a short period, from zero-based budgeting to adapting to the new wave of digitization. Focusing on these aspects gave us the right tool to rise and shine together. Managing short-term disruptions, catering to medium-term needs, and planning for long-term changes. The new approach focused on customer engagement, supply chain needs, calculations, data and operations powered from personal retail made us a base for the new norm, leading to a brighter future. If I look at the other side during this phase, there were hardly any stores that remained open, and our 24/7 outlets started to become the go-to option for numerous people for their essential supplies. Even today at 24/7, we are following all the government regulations relating to maintaining sanitization and hygiene and supporting our consumers. Almost 70% of stores are now open 24 hours, whereas during the lockdown we were open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. with 4 staff members only at each store, allowing only 4 customers per store at a given point of time as customer safety was our responsibility. Our revenues have been more or less the same during the COVID period as well, operating stores half the time at half the staff strength. The math has changed, but the outcome been the same. A number of bills got slashed by half, but the average basket size doubled. Tough situations either break us or make us, and this crisis reformed the retail industry into a booming, new age, and agile community that is going gung ho on innovation and technology. With this merger of offline and offline modes of business, retail outlets are now able to meet consumer needs through cutting edge innovations, aiding the smooth performance of crucial day to day operations that lead to bumper sales. As the retail industry solved problems of how to reach the consumer safely and hygienically, the next hurdle was the constant supply of sanitization and healthcare products, as they were in need of the hour due to the increasing COVID-19 cases leading to new restrictions imposed on the sector. During this time at Modi Care, we realized that time is opportune to introduce a new range of products that are meant to address the present consumer demand. Extra comfort premium protection masks, Germy Bus disinfectant sprays, and all pure hand sanitizers to name a few. All products that would offer daily protection to people who find sanitization to be a crucial part of their lives now. Also, this is our way of supporting the community to offer them daily need products at the best quality and accessible rates. Apart from this, we introduced slew of digital initiatives like our chatbot Roshni, our IM catalog, Modi Care's own Bandhan chat app. At start of the lockdown, we moved our trainings online. The company and the Modi Care consultant conducted over 2,000 online trainings every day. Change has always been a part of life as well as business. The retail industry understands this well and has implemented it with limited resources and utmost understanding during unprecedented times. No wonder why the retail industry has started reviving even before the new norm rules set in. Therefore, I am saying is that the retail industry has created a silver lining playbook after the roller coaster ride of the pandemic. On that note, I conclude my piece here and leave you this thought that we are the ones who are responsible for creating a pandemic business playbook for generations to come so that they learn, adapt, do better, and survive even bigger challenges than the new world might bring to them. Thank you for listening to me and thank you for having me.
I am really excited for the next speaker. He's none other than Mr. Nipun Singhal, CEO Amstrad India. To express his viewpoints, I would request him to join us on screen. While talking about him, he is the MD and CEO Overwatch Private Limited.
Welcome to Ideasfest 2020, Mr. Singhal. Really glad to have you here with us. Amstrad as a brand has been doing superbly well under your leadership. You have been chosen as India's inspirational leader. Amstrad, the brand, has been chosen as one of world's leading brands and the brand of the year by WCRC. We welcome you to Ideasfest 2020. Just to give a brief to our viewers on Mr. Nipun Singhal. Mr. Nipun Singhal is graduated in engineering, economics, and management from the prestigious Oxford University. He was a director and CEO of Lloyd from 2008 up till November 2017, where he spearheaded the creation of the brand Lloyd from scratch to soaring heights. He has over 28 years of experience in various industries. In September 2018, he launched Overt, One Vision, One Team, a new concept in Indian consumer electronics retail industry. A unique creation by channel partners and experienced industry veterans who have for the first time in India come together to give the best products, services, and prices to Indian consumers. Overt launched Amstrad. The next generation products by Amstrad are inspired by passion for perfection. Mr. Nipun Singhal spearheads Amstrad as a brand, and like many other brands that he has driven to success, we are very sure that Amstrad will be a force to reckon with, which already it is. Welcome, Mr. Singhal, to the show. Talk a little bit about, what's been the strategy of the brand, especially keeping COVID as a serious situation that's going on. Our discussion theme, of course, today is new age strategies of brands and leaders during this COVID era and post-COVID era. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Abhimanyu, and you've been very generous as usual with your words. Very kind in the initial introduction. But as you mentioned, I've had my almost 2.5 decades with various companies and various brands, which have all been consumer space. So I think the one thing that I have found common across this journey of 25 years has been that if you want to succeed in the consumer space, you have to put at the forefront and in the center the consumer. You must understand that, what does the consumer want? It's not what I am trying to sell. It's not what I am trying to put as a strategy forward. I have to understand and align myself with what the consumer is trying to buy or what the consumer is wanting from me.
True.
People who can align themselves to what the consumer wants succeed. And people who don't understand the consumer effectively or properly, they are the ones who are left behind. And what we've understood, or what I have understood, is that consumers, especially who are buying consumer durables, right? They are coming to buy products. They are coming to buy uh, after sales service. They're coming to buy technology.
Mm-hmm.
So, just to put very simply for your viewers, when you go into the market, first thing you look for is you want to look at the latest technology.
True.
You don't want to be saddled with the technology which was running 10 years or 15 years back.
Mm-hmm.
So, can Amstrad deliver the next generation in technology?
Mm-hmm.
If yes, we are relevant. The next thing is, can Amstrad deliver the relevant specifications or quality that the consumer wants? So, in terms of air conditioning, I could talk about noise level, I could talk about cooling capacity, I could talk about energy consumption. In terms of television, I could talk about whether I can watch the different OTT platforms today on which there is very good content coming. People like you and me are seeing those content. So, Sony Live, Netflix, Amazon Prime, does it have that? Right? What is the kind of clarity in terms of 4K, 8K, OLED? What technology am I bringing forward?
Cool.
So, technology, quality, and then after that comes after sales service. So the last thing that the consumer sees is, fine, this is all great, but tomorrow, God forbid, if something happens, am I going to get the after sales service? And this is what has been my mantra in the last 25 years.
Okay. Okay. Great. So just talk about your strategies during this tough times where most industries are going through a very troubled time. How, as a brand, are you keeping yourself afloat with innovation and redeployment of people or new product strategy, product line, marketing strategies, and everything?
Yeah. So excellent. I think this has been something which we've all done in some way. I can name 4 things that we did differently. First of all, is we introduced products which we thought were relevant to the current pandemic situation. So we launched immediately dishwashers. We launched a vac mop, which is a vacuum cleaner cum mop, what we call in colloquial language jhadu pocha machine.
Yeah.
Right. So we launched then we launched a mini flour mill or atta chakki.
Okay.
So you buy your grain, instead of taking the grain to the nearest mill, which is not very clean, hygienic, or probably is closed because of COVID. You have a mini flour mill where you can mix your grains at home. You can grind them at home itself. So that is what we launched. So these 3 products have been the new product launches. In terms of the second thing which we did different was in terms of our marketing communication, how we approach the consumer. So we came out from the traditional mold of cinema advertising, newspaper advertising, and we focused more on digital and on television. So you can see both our campaigns in April, May, as well as in September, October, they were very TV heavy because a lot of people are sitting at home and they are consuming a lot of news. And the second thing which I find is people are constantly on their gadgets. So there's a lot of online communication happening.
Absolutely.
So, digital communication is where we spent money, and on TV we spent money. We've cut back on all other mediums.
Okay.
This is the second change in terms of marketing. The third change, I would say, is in the way that we are trying to give a demo to our consumer. So today, traditionally, a demo was given by a technician visiting the customer's home. Now we have a WhatsApp where you can, as a customer, you can reach us in the WhatsApp and we will guide you through a WhatsApp video call.
Okay.
So let's say you want a demo, you can just switch on the camera in the WhatsApp video call and my technician from the office will guide you through anything you want to know about the product, how it works, functions, features, troubleshooting, anything.
True.
So this is a third thing that we started, that without actually physically going to the consumer's house, how can we help him? And you will be surprised, Abhimanyu, that we were able to solve a lot of customer complaints through online interactions.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is the third thing. The fourth thing has been in the way that we are keeping our connection with the dealers. So we've stopped dealer meets. Traditionally we used to have a dealer meet, with food and drinks and stuff, where we used to showcase our brands. Now everything is happening through Zoom calls. Much like we're doing an interview today on a Zoom call.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this is the first time that I'm doing an interview with you, or through a laptop.
Yeah. Most interviews today are happening like this,
Yeah.
fortunately or unfortunately. But yeah, that's the general trend these days. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are the four changes that we have done in terms of product lineup, our marketing communication, in terms of the way we interact with our consumers for demos and troubleshooting, and the way we interact with our customers, the dealers.
Okay. So tell me something at this point in time, okay? How do you generate a lot of trust with your consumers, with your shareholders, with your employees? As a brand, how do you generate trust in them? As a leader, how do you generate trust in your employees? And keep the motivation levels extremely high when there is a general gloom in the market.
Yeah. So if you've seen our tagline, "Inspired by Passion," right? I think people develop trust in anything when they see passion, right? So the precursor to trust is passion. I believe in what I see. I trust what I see. So today, when they see passion, like if my team sees me very passionate or very committed, or looking at the future with a lot of positivity, they develop trust in me. That yes, this is a good company to work with. This is a good leader to work with.
Okay.
So it all flows from passion.
True.
See, trust is not something I can acquire by advertising. It will never happen by advertising.
Absolutely.
I have to walk that talk. I have to demonstrate adequate amount of passion in whatever I'm doing. For example, if I see a chef cooking food, I see him doing it with a lot of passion, I can trust that the food he will cook will be of high quality.
True.
So wherever I see somebody with a lot of passion, I can trust that will lead to something good.
Okay. Yeah. Any other thing you want to
And
add?
that's how leaders develop passion.
Okay. So you think that passion probably becomes one of the most important things in generating trust with your consumers, with your employees, with your shareholders? You think that passion is the most important thing? Because
Provided it is something. Sorry, I've been interrupting you.
no problem.
Passion is the most important thing, provided you can actually demonstrate the passion. It should not be all fuzzy-duddy and also very. You should demonstrate experience passion.
Okay.
Then it translates into trust.
Uh-huh. Okay. There's a little bit of breakage happening with your internet. Any case, it's keeping. So, any case, tell me one last point. About how personally, as a leader, do you really take care of situations, and what would be your advice? Because this program is going to be watched by a lot of people, from top corporates to students to new marketing aspirants to people who would want to join the consumer electronic industry. What, as an industry head, would be your advice to future leaders? And what, as yourself, do you guide your team in these times, or any case for the future?
So you're very kind, as I said in the beginning, that you would look at me as somebody who can guide somebody. I'm always in a mode to learn from people. But you know, having said that, what I believe is that it's not guidance I'm giving. It's just I'm stating the obvious, that whatever you are doing, especially in the consumer space, it must be from the heart.
Okay.
If you do anything, if you do anything from the heart and with passion, you are going to end up doing something great in that particular field. You could be a young boy at 21, or you could be somebody at 65. But if you're doing whatever you're doing with a lot of passion, with a lot of conviction, and from the heart, you're going to end up doing a very good job. You will make a name for yourself, you'll make a name for your company, you'll make a name for your brand, you'll make a name for your country. No matter in whatever field it is, it could be in athletics, it could be in sports, it could be anything. The moment you do it from the heart,
Mhm.
it's going to be fantastic.
Great. So what
As
is
I
the
say in Hindi, I said, दिमाग से मत काम करो, दिल से काम करो.
super? So what is the positioning of Amstrad that you really want consumers to get inside their heart, inside their mind, and the soul of the brand positioning of Amstrad? What is that
Next
position?
generation, next generation quality service technology. So Amstrad means next generation quality service technology.
Next generation
And
quality.
this will be the mantra. Yeah, next generation quality service technology. And this will be the mantra even when I am not here and the next generation is in my chair. We will still say the same thing. Next generation quality service. Because you have to keep changing with time.
Absolutely.
You have to keep evolving yourself. You have to become better every year. You have to keep on outdoing yourself. I've always told my son, I tell him, I am not fighting anybody else. I have no competitor. My biggest competitor is me. I have to beat me.
Great.
So next year I have to beat me. 10 years later I have to think how I can beat myself.
Yeah,
So it's almost like boxing your shadow.
absolutely. Okay, it was great talking to you, Mr. Singhal. It's always been a pleasure talking to you. For our viewers, just look at the perspective of all successful people, and Nipun, Mr. Singhal has been uh, an extremely successful person in this industry. It core boils down to your passion and your heart, how you actually function with your passion, with your dedication, and a very sustained sincerity that actually takes you to the top. Mr. Singhal for years have displayed that, and that's the reason why WCRC has chosen him as one of India's most inspirational leaders. And we do hope that Mr. Singhal keeps inspiring the industry, keeps generating a lot of trust in his employees. I have known him for a very long time. And I have always seen this jolly, enthusiastic side of Mr. Singhal that creates an extreme impact over people he meets. I'm sure that employees in his companies feel that magic in him, look up to him because he's a person who has driven everything with a lot of passion and heart. And that's something that is a lesson to be learned, that if you have passion with sustained sincerity and true intent, you will automatically generate trust in your consumers, in your shareholders, and your employees and everybody around you. Thank you, Mr. Singhal, for joining this Ideas Fest discussion. It's a pleasure always talking to you. Thank you very much.
Same here. Pleasure. Thanks so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
God
very
bless.
much.
Our next speaker is Mr. Ramesh Balinga, CEO WaterTech India. I would request her to please join us on screen.
WaterTech is an acknowledged leader in the bathroom and plumbing spaces.
Hi, my name is Ramesh Baliga. I am the CEO of WaterTech India Private Limited. We are the manufacturers of polymer-based bath fittings, pipe fittings, and we started in the year 1996, and it's been 24 long years wherein we have built almost 80% market share. We are one of the oldest companies in terms of manufacturing of polymer bath fittings in India, and we manufacture almost 30 million pieces a year, and almost 2 million pieces a month, 2.5 pieces, 2.5 million pieces a month. We have all ranges of bath fittings and pipe fittings, a complete range. So during this period, we were evolving ourselves to move into a complete, or we can call it as a total bathroom solution providers. And we ventured into acquiring a sanitary ware company. We ventured into having JV with quite a number of companies in India to provide us OEMs on suppliers of metal bath fittings. And now we have a complete range of a bathroom solutions provided. When I say bathroom solutions, I'm talking about behind the wall, inside the wall, and outside the wall. So all three products are manufactured by us in-house, and we have approximately about 1,600 people working for us in terms of production and sales. And we have presence right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and from Gujarat to Arunachal Pradesh. In India, we export quite a lot to all the SAARC countries, and we have also quite a large presence in UAE and African markets. Now, this is the basic of WaterTech, and we were evolving ourselves as what should be the way forward on when the pandemic hit us in the year 2020 March. Now, we thought it's a right time to contribute ourselves to pre-COVID, and we ventured into a slogan called H2O. H2O, in other words, stands for water, but in our terms stands for health, hygiene, and the original. Now, we have created products to match our words. Almost all our products, you can say 100% of our products are focused on hygiene, health, and we create original products. When I mean original, we don't copy something which is available in the market and produce it. We are producers of very good quality health faucets in a bathroom. We have our seat covers in sanitary ware, which are absolutely antibacterial, antifungus, and odor. And we also have now devised a new product which is shortly going to be introduced in India, which is the polymer based flush valves. Now, this polymer based, when I say it is UPVC, which would definitely be a new innovation in this market. We already have metal flush valves, but we have gone a step further and introduced this polymer based UPVC flush valves, which will be shortly introduced. Now, these are all about the products, and we have a very huge line of products with us. Now, we are talking about the challenges which we faced, and what are the new business strategies which we are working on post-COVID area. The first thing, the biggest challenge we was facing were the social distancing norms and the checks involved in our production. And so we had to create a SOP in place, and so our production is completely as per the SOP, and we are even got the ISO audit done. And we have changed our production patterns. We have changed our assembling units, and we have maintained the social distance and checks required. At today's scenario, I think we can produce almost to the tune of 25 million, between 25 to 27 million pieces, whereas post-COVID we were able to do about 30 million pieces. Now, our challenges were to come down to 30 million pieces, and in a couple of months, maximum by December end, we would be reaching our pre-COVID times in terms of production. We have introduced a lot of new products. We have introduced a lot of hygiene products in the market, and to name one, I could tell you that we are introducing the touchless tabs. Now, when I mean touchless tabs, these are all looking at the water conditions in India. These are the products which are meant to tackle the water solutions, water saving. These are the products which we are now shortly going to be introduced, and this will take care of the requirement of the markets. I think this pandemic gave us a lot of opportunity to understand and work on the company's future. We have made a lot of changes in our working. As I explained to you earlier, also we changed our strategy in terms of expanding our network, change our strategy in delivering the material. Today I can tell you in 24 hours. Now, with this core strength, what we have developed in post-COVID, now the way forward, I'm very sure that market is going to take some more time to recover. But the biggest market, what I foresee for WaterTech is that the replacement market will never suffer. Now, the replacement market is a core strength of WaterTech. Now, this core strength, I would like to convert it into business, means 22,000 dealers with this strength of delivering the metal within 24 hours is going to completely focus on our channel partners selling the product rather than stocking it and then selling it. Now, we as a combination of sales done by my team, distribution done by the channel partners, and produced by company with the complete standards. I think this is going to be the core strength of WaterTech coming forward. Now, our role is to get some more innovative products into the market. We are completely training our teams regularly to be capable of producing. And the biggest confidence the team has got is that the product was, we came back, bounced back. I can use the word called we bounced back in just about a month's time with a level of pre-COVID production. And this pre-COVID production was purely, we were one of the largest manufacturers. If you can say we are manufacturing 30 million pieces, and post-COVID, within a month we bounced back to that level. I think that's a big achievement where the confidence of the dealers, confidence of the team practically came into active. Our main strength has always been the health of the team, and we ensured that all the COVID norms, whether it's social distancing or whether it's moving out into traveling into a different territories, was completely under control. We were monitoring their health very regularly. Even the production, the number of inputs, the number of the trainings we have done to this team is completely as per the norms set by the government. And I think this COVID has given us a huge lesson, is that you plan yourself, station yourself in such a position, and give the customer what he wants at the right time. For me, my customer is maybe a dealer, maybe an architect, maybe a builder, will give you the right approach towards having a huge business acumen. And we are very positive right from the beginning. I think we started on May 4th, and it's been a very positive outlook for last 6 months. I think this is the right way forward, and technology. It's again the price, the people, the products, and the production capacity are the 4 P's which is going to take us forward. Thank you.
Moving forward, it's time for our second and our next panel discussion of the day, where our speakers and industry experts will enlighten the audience once again and explore the brand construct and its linkages with value and trust created in the market. I'm really excited to introduce the panelists amongst all of you. The panel discussion discussing exploring the brand construct and its linkages with value and trust created in the market. Really excited to be introducing the panelists amongst all of you here. Our first panelist would be Mr. Mohit Nirula, CEO, Columbia Pacific Communities. Our next panelist would be Abhishek Goyal, CEO and founder, Cactus Communications. Our next panelist would be Mr. Alok Kumar, CEO, NEC Corporations, India. Following, we have Ms. Akanksha Bhargav, CEO, PM Relocations. Another intellectual panelist we have on board is Mr. Mandeep Singh, CEO, Jindal Stainless Lifestyle Limited. Another panelist on board we have with us is Mr. Sanki Prasad, Chairman and Managing Director, India, Colliers International. Moderating the session would be Mr. Abhijit Mukherjee, Head of Marketing, Crayon Software Experts, India. Without further ado, let's dive into the panel discussion. Over to you, Abhijit, sir.
I would also like to take this opportunity and convey my congratulations and best wishes to all the award winners and leaders who will be felicitated in the evening. We have gone through some riveting thoughts, content, and observations from the industry leaders, and I can promise you that our panel discussion will be as engrossing and riveting as the previous sessions. Now, these times have been, tough, and most of the organizations have gone through the digital transformation journey. And at the core of this, brand personalities of most of the organizations have also gone through this journey. Customer trust is not only vital in an environment where customer expectations are increasing daily and competition is fierce, but it is a brand differentiator, that could make or break a business. Now, most organizations know trust bestowed by consumer can not only make or break a business, it can also ensure you survive a problem in the future. But few achieve brand trust and values adequately. Therefore, in order to understand this better, we are here with our fellow co-panelists to really understand how factors like values and trust creates a brand construct for an organization. Our panel discussion is on the topic, exploring the brand construct and its linkages with value and trust created in the market. And quickly, we'll take 1 minute to introduce my fellow co-panelists again. Mohit Nirola, who is the CEO from Columbia Pacific Communities, Abhishek Goel, founder and CEO from Cactus Communications, Alok Kumar, CEO from NEC Corporation India, Akanksha Bhargava, CEO from PM Relocations, Mandeep Singh, CEO of Jindal Stainless Lifestyle Limited, and Sanki Prasad, Chairman and Managing Director from Colliers International. Just to set the ball rolling and getting a perspective of brand construct of organizations, my first question goes to Alok Kumar, which is, how can one define its brand identity prism to its customer? Alok. Alok, you need to unmute yourself, please.
It's an honor to be in the company of the fellow panelists. Thank you. Lovely to meet you all. Abhijit, thanks for the question. I think, communicating the prism to customer, I always believe in simplifying it. And the way we'll approach that in NEC is taking it as a 3-tier architecture. At the top of this 3-tier pyramid is really, what we call as mind and soul. What is the purpose of the brand? What is the organization really purposed for every day? In the middle of it, which is really what we are calling as the muscle, what the customers see as what are the pain points we are solving for in order to achieve that purpose. And at the real bottom of that prism or the pyramid is really what we call as the bone and the foundation of how we deliver. What are the product, process, technology, and therefore some of the things that interlinks. Let me bring alive an example. We have for example, NEC is world leader in facial recognition technology. So at the bottom of this foundation sits the technology, which is facial recognition. The problem that we are solving for, which is the middle of this prism, is really next time you're going through an airport, it is contactless, paperless, touchless boarding, all powered through the technology of facial recognition and biometric boarding. That is leading to what is the purpose of our existence, which is how we are orchestrating a brighter world. And that purpose of orchestrating a brighter world, how does that translate into what kind of problems are we solving, and what are the product, process, and technologies are we deploying to solve that? I think that is the critical piece in the communication to the customer. If we are able to build that connect in our brand communication, in our problem solving, and in our purposing what our employees, our partners, and our technologies are solving, I think that's probably the most simplest way to communicate the prism to the customer. Abhijit, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Alok, for those valuable insights. I jotted down some of the points. You talked about 3-tier architecture and pain points. What is the purpose of a brand? How does a brand gets connected and hitched to product processes? Technology innovation. You talked a classical example of facial recognition. How it can be integrated with a safe boarding process in the flight as well. And yes, orchestrating a brighter world in sync with the entire brand communication. So really appreciate your thought process. In fact, my perspective is that when building an organization, most founders and leaders first think about their products, services, and driving revenue. But the offering isn't the only thing that's important when building the company. What about the brand? How do your customers think about your brand and organization? Your customers' perception is an incredibly important part of the equation, for creating a successful roadmap of your organization. So with this thought process, let me get a perspective from Mandeep. Mandeep, what are your views, on my next question, which is, we all understand the significance of brand loyalty. How can an organization like yours build a stronger integration, between a brand and its customers? You have to unmute yourself, Mandeep.
Hey, thank you, Abhijit, and appreciate this forum. We are coming together to discuss brand, especially in these unprecedented times. But let me first of all tell you my perspective about the brand. We always have been talking about, or we always have learned, or we have always have been taught about the concept of USP, unique sellers proposition. I think that proposition is dead. It's no longer existing. It's now unique buyer's proposition. So the consumer or the customer is at the center stage. And I always use one very interesting analogy. A brand has to act like a Shah Rukh Khan. I call it a Shah Rukh Khan philosophy. I watched a great movie, Main Hoon Na. So the brand actually has to become the Main Hoon Na for the customers. For whatever customer desires or what brand promises, the Shah Rukh Khan has to come in and say, don't worry, Main Hoon Na. So that is something which is important. Now, allow me to paint two scenarios. One is a generic scenario and the second is a current scenario in which we are operating. So generically speaking, customers today are inundated with the choice. Rather, they're spoiled with the choice. But customers today flirt a lot. So loyalty is per se dead, unless the brands are constantly upholding brand promises and the brand values. And brands also need to understand, with the changing paradigms, with the contours of the business shifting so very swiftly, how do the brands reinvent, re-engineer themselves? Let's take two examples. One is Kodak. I worked for both the companies, so those two examples are pretty relevant to me and relevant in the current context what we are talking. So Kodak did not reinvent, re-engineer. Even though people were highly loyal to the brand, yet they did not reinvent themselves, and hence they went out of the orbit. On the other hand, another brand I've worked with them with is Amul. So how Amul is still relevant, how the loyalties towards Amul is still relevant, one can easily make out, and how Amul has transformed itself as a 53,000 crore brand today, which is a powerhouse of the dairy industry. When we talk current situation, wherein 2020 has been the year of unprecedented sense of uncertainty, and this is a period of deprivation and anxiety, which will usher new consumer attitudes and behaviors. And that's what Philip Kotler say. I have not said this, right? Now, citizens or the customers will re-examine what they consume, how they consume, and how much they consume. So the loyalties again will undergo a shift unless brand tends to see themselves adjusting to the taste and the needs of the organization. Now, let me talk very specific about my own organization. So JSL Lifestyle is all about stainless steel. Now, when we talk of stainless steel as a material, to anyone, that material looks like a cold, dark gray material. So it's all about coils and it's all about, the sheets of stainless steel. But what we do is we lend a lot of value to that cold material and make it look chic, make it look, make it look nice. So stainless steel देखने के लिए एक डोंगा है या एक plate है, but how do we make it nice, colorful, chic, jazzy? That's what we do. We re-engineer our approach to integrate customers with the brand. So a couple of things which we have taken, I mean, that was your question, that how our organization is building a stronger integration with our brand. And our brand is called Ardenox. Ardenox means art in stainless steel. So what we have done is we have created a very unique customer advisory forum. We call it a CAG and the BAG. So CAG is Consumer Advisory Group and the BAG is Business Advisory Group. We work with a lot of HNIs and millennials. So we have created a consumer advisory group of the mix of the two. And then we have also architects and designers we work with. So they are the part of our business advisory group. As a brand, what we do is we have moved away from a passive listening to the active sensing and reflection on what people tell us. It's not just hearing, it's listening, deep listening. On that basis, we have created a very strong, robust design innovation process because we are a design-led company. Another thing which we have done is with the current pandemic has taught us that people are not ready to move out of their homes. But what about taking stores to their homes? So we have created some strong technology intervention by creating a virtual walkthrough, by getting our store to the homes of people. Another thing was that Ardenox as a brand is perceived as a very premium brand. It's a luxury brand or semi-premium brand. People were liking the brand, but they somehow said it's expensive. Now, for the people who are aspirational middle class, we have launched another brand called Jindal Arc, which is a prestige brand, which will allow people to get the similar kind of products, but at an affordable prices. So the new range or the new brand creation was as a result of this entire current scheme of things which we are into. Another thing is while people are not moving out and they're not being able to purchase, so in this Diwali we launched e-gift cards as a concept, and now people can order and gift their people our homeware products using e-gift cards. Another thing which we've done is the concierge system, wherein you tell us what you want, and our in-house concierge team will help you to design whatever you wish. So it's very bespoke solution providing. So I think these are the few steps which we have taken to interact, to connect, to constantly engage with our customers. We have gone to the extent that even our quality assurance team and even some of our production people, along with the sales people, they have a direct interaction with the consumer to actually understand consumer perspective about our quality and how they see what kind of value we are adding to them for the products which we are offering to them. So I think, I mean, if I sum it up, this is what brand and marketing is all about. That how do we build sustainable engagement and constantly offer value to the consumers, for consumers to stay hooked on to you. And that's where you build in the concept called brand loyalty. I think those were my few perspectives.
Thanks a lot, Mandeep, for your insights. And I would absolutely, agree with a couple of your pointers that the concept of USP is dead. Now it is a unique buyer proposition. SRK philosophy, which means you empathize and sympathize with your customers. You reassure them by saying that, we are there, for your needs and requirements. And customers nowadays are actually spoiled with choices. They have innumerable choices, and brands have to reinvent themselves, with due course of time. And yes, as rightly you summed it up, sustainable engagements and value addition, to the consumers at this point of time is something which they are looking for. So thank you, Mandeep, for your insights. In moving forward, brand trust and values is more important than ever because today's consumers are bombarded with options, like Mandeep was telling. Now, what was often once a choice between two brands is now a global mix of hundreds, which has consumers asking, who do they know and trust before making a purchasing decision? So keeping the context in mind, my next question is directed towards Mohit Nirula, which is, when we talk of value, a brand must build a connection with its consumers. What strategies should a brand use to achieve this? Mohit?
Thank you for the question, and it's an honor and a privilege to be amongst such good corporate companies and such leaders. And I kind of feel a bit inadequate in addressing the question that you've asked. Having said that, like Mandeep, I've also worked in two companies. Mandeep's probably worked more companies, but I've just worked the two companies in all my 30 odd years of working. The first one was with Oberoi Hotels, and that's a brand that everybody knows, or I like to think that everybody knows, and have, whether you are 50 or whether you are 15, you've come across an Oberoi Hotel in your life. And then when I moved to create or to work with a team to help create this new company called Columbia Pacific Communities, this does not exist in anybody's mind as yet. Also, the industry which is creating communities with seniors in mind, where they can live their lives to the fullest without having any hindrances, is in itself a sunshine industry. So we have a new brand in a new industry, and to that extent, it's been extremely both challenging and fulfilling. Picking up from what my colleagues have said and what you've kind of alluded to in terms of both the brand promise and the values. You see, the way we've looked at it is that at the core of our, if you look at what we do, we design, we build. So to that extent, we are a real estate business, but we don't move away from the community that has been created. We instead welcome all our residents into their new homes. In fact, into their homes that will be with them, and we hope that they'll be with us forever. And then we extend to them a lifestyle and hospitality which is zero headache. Everything that they need, from housekeeping to security to maintenance to food and beverage to concierge services to wealth management to estate management to writing of wills, etc. All of that is taken care of or is available to them as advice and support from our end. Followed by 1/3 of us is also healthcare, because in terms of whatever their medical needs today or as they age over time over the next 30 years, all of this is part of our company's offer. Now, when you look at our offer to our customers, we can't actually say this is who we are, because as I think Mandeep made the point, and before that Alok did as well, it doesn't matter what we think of ourselves. What matters is what our customers think of us, and B, what our, and that was the point Alok was making, is what is the solution that we are providing to them. So in our case, we are starting that solution from the time the person calls us to say, I believe you're constructing a community, and it goes on. And really, death and taxes, as they say, are inevitable. It ends really at the point in time when they've gone on to a better place from planet Earth. And it doesn't end there, because the entire relationship with the children, and the process continues. So this is a hugely long consumer journey in which every single touch point of this customer experience must stand true, must test true against our brand values, or the company dharma, which is every single interaction that we will have with our customer will be based on unconditional love, respect, and care. Unlike others who have a lot of competition, I have only one competition. Our competition is the resident staying with us or staying with their family. Now, that's not easy competition to beat, you will imagine. Anybody given a choice would rather be with friends or family. Here we say, come and stay with us and bring your friends and family with you, or make friends and family within the community. So When that's the competition, our promise, our company dharma of unconditional love, respect, and care must be delivered at every single touch point over what is hopefully at least a 30 to 40-year-old year journey with us. So to be able to create and identify every single touch point in this customer journey where they are staying with you forever, and infuse each of them with unconditional love, respect, and care so that the customer experiences it in every interaction is the promise that we are trying to make and we have to try and deliver to. On the other side of this is positive aging, which is the distinctive Columbia Pacific community's promise. And what is, I mean, on a simple level, positive aging could mean that you will be physically fit, mentally alert, intellectually stimulated in a socially engaged environment for as long as we are with us. So, which means that you shall be healthier and fitter for longer. But really, what we want to distill it down to is where aging has got no relationship with age. You can start aging at 25, or you can be not aging at 85. And positive aging is about embracing life in a manner, and Columbia Pacific communities facilitating the entire process and interaction in a manner that aging is completely disconnected with age. I don't use as much jargon, but if you were to think of the entire customer journey, where every single interaction over a 40-year time period must deliver on unconditional love, respect, and care as the company values and dharma, and on positive aging as an approach to life, which disconnects age from aging. That's how we believe that you can create an association and a relationship where sales and marketing can be put aside, and all you need to do is showcase every single community as a reason to be a part of it. So that's my short little, or not so short little, answer to your question.
Mohit, I really appreciate your responses. In fact, it came straight from the heart, and those were, emotional pointers, which you made. And you rightly said, what matters is, what customers think of us, and an organization should be adaptive, to customize their solutions accordingly. It's a huge consumer journey or customer journey, wherever you're coming from, whether in a B2C environment or a B2B environment, and every point of customer experiences should be touch-based, with unconditional love, respect, and care. Customer experience is the very important thing as at this point of time, and as they say, that customer first always, wherever you go and whatever you do. And yes, the concept of positive aging, as you rightly pointed out, that you have to be mentally, intellectually very strong, and be alert to the current marketing dynamics. So thanks a lot, Mohit, for your valuable. Moving forward, consumer trust creates loyalty and advocacy, traits that legitimize a brand. Good examples of those who have successfully marketed from a strong position of trust are also from the services industry. If I have to cite some examples, DHL, Uber, to name a few. Akanksha, you come from a organization which is part of these services. So my question to you is, in the services industry, most of the products and solutions are intangible. How can one enhance and sustain their brand identity in this line? Akanksha.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here amongst all of you and share some great insights and learn so much. Yes, I think, we are a relocation company. We move people across the globe, and we are partnered with people when they have to shift homes. So, our crew is entering into someone's house, packing their belongings and moving to another country, another part of the world. So obviously there's a huge relationship that gets built up between our brand and the customer, because, someone is giving their entire life savings in our hands, and anything can happen. And, there is a huge gap and huge challenge in the way they could be perceiving us or any other brand. So yes, at the end of the day, the touch point that we have in terms of servicing a customer is extremely personal, extremely sensitive. And at that point of time, sometimes the price may not matter. Even the person who's attending you would not matter, but the kind of relationship the brand can create with you is what really would matter at the end of the day, because you would want that somebody should take your stuff absolutely safely and move. And when you cite examples like DHL and all, I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of logistics companies fall in the same category. But when we say relocations and mobility and house shifting, that just becomes extremely more personal. So I think my take on the entire relationship of the brand, obviously the first thing that we have all mentioned, and I think this is a no-brainer, is the trust and the loyalty that one creates with the brand. And especially during this entire period of COVID, we've really been tested. Like, at the end of the day, we had to look after our people, we had to look after the customers, we had to ensure that there was proper care at both sides, because you didn't want your people to be at risk, neither the clients at risk. And imagine that entire shipment goes through multiple channels and then gets delivered to another country, and then there is another problem in that country. So yes, at the end of the day, I think the reason why people still wanted to move and shift was because they believed that someone was risking their own lives to do their job. So I think when that relationship is established, that we care, and we care as much as we care about ourselves, that's when I think somebody really differentiates between someone X and Y. When someone realizes that, yes, the person who's looking after their belongings cares as much as they would do about their belongings. So I always say that, we are not just about customer experience, but we're about personalized customer experience, because there could be similar kind of people doing packing and shifting, but what changes is the whole experience that you give to the customer while there is a problem. If there is a problem, something goes wrong, how is the customer getting his response, and how are you handling that kind of situation? I think your name becomes what it becomes with those kind of experiences, when you change the perception of a client who's not having a very good day with you. So I think the whole relationship starts from someone knowing that, yes, you care more than, at the end of the day, you are as much careful as somebody else would be about their belongings. B, I think the entire belief that your team is well trained and well equipped to look after what you're supposed to be doing. I think that's a very important aspect, because sometimes people are more worried because they don't know if you're as ready to do something that you're supposed to be doing. Like, I could cite this example because I remember we had this huge vendor diligence process at a corporate, and they asked us that, if there are infants in the house, and if something happens and one baby falls off the bed or something, what would your team do? And we said, we have to call somebody who's in the house. So the first and foremost thing is that, is your team capable to manage that situation? Because when you're entering someone's house, there is a full-fledged family in that house. There are children, there are elders, there are sometimes people who are a little conservative. There are, India is a very, very religiously sensitive country. There are people who are in a certain belief system that their mandir should be touched by certain people. And if there is a certain festival time, you need to be more careful. Then also people who sometimes don't want you to enter with the shoes. Some people want you to enter with the shoes. And then you look at expat culture, like the Koreans are very different from Germans. Germans are very different from British. So I think the whole, the kind of verticals we sort of cater is so varied that, there's no right or wrong at times. You just have to customize it so much with the customer that you need to make sure that you are making him feel comfortable with you. So I think that's been a very important aspect of and I think any service for that matter, because no customer is similar. And, people have taste and preferences. People have their own past experiences that they've had, and they sort of bring it to that particular experience with that service. So I think keeping all of that in mind is very important, and it sometimes can be a lot, but I think once you start mapping your customers well, that would make a lot of difference. And, I think somebody just talked about the Oberoi experience, and I was told once that Oberoi hotels always know that when you enter their hotel, they would also know that what kind of pillow were you comfortable in their previous hotel experience. And they were so particular. So this is, just the whole relationship of the services is all about customization and about knowing your customer. So once you know your customer and you know how they would want a certain experience, I think you can cater to them. So for me, obviously the loyalty and trust is there, but I think customization, being personalized and making somebody aware that you care as much as they do is sort of the highlights of the whole business that we are into personally. And especially in our business, we really have to satisfy the entire family. So it's not just one customer, but the entire family, because sometimes, ex's mother-in-law may not like a certain kind of packer because he's not speaking in a certain language that they speak in. So it's a very crazy time that we have, but we really enjoy looking after our clients. That's my little take on your question.
Yeah, Akanksha, and I really appreciate your pointers in that little take. In fact, from a services industry perspective, it's all about building, managing and sustaining that customer relationship. And as you rightly pointed out, relationships, especially in your industry, can be extremely personal and sensitive. And how you embed the values of trust, care, and safety with the consumers defines that relationship, and that eventually takes you to that customization level or the personalization level which you're talking about. And eventually, this is my view, this eventually leads to positive, memorable customer experience. So that experience can lead you to 2x amount of business or 5x amount of business from potential new logos, because this customer of yours is actually saying good words about your organizations and the services as well. So thank you, Akanksha, for those insights. Moving forward, the need to build brand trust has heightened, thanks to the immediate effect of social media on our lives, spending choices and habits. Consumers are much savvier about how a product is portrayed and where exactly it's marketed as a result. However, COVID has made the consumers very conservative with respect to their spends, which means organizations have to make that extra effort to create top of mind awareness, for their consumers. With that, let me get a perspective from Sanky Prasad on my next question, which is in two parts. First is, how does the current scenario affect the emotional factors that contribute to the decision of the buyers? And what are you doing to make your customers comfortable? Second question would be, when we talk of value, a brand has to build a connection, with its consumers. What strategies should a brand use to achieve this?
Abhijit, thank you for having me on the panel, and extremely privileged to be on this panel with my eminent co-panelists. On your first question, in the current environment, the most important factor that we find that every client is looking for is health and well-being. We at Colliers have always emphasized on the significance of health and wellness aspects in the real estate sector. Considering that most people spend majority of time within closed environments, 2020 has brought these aspects to the forefront across all the classes of real estate. We believe that overall wellness quotient of the buildings is going to be a key criteria for A, the tenants while making a lease decision, B, end users before making a buy decision, and C, for the investors. Hence, the need of the hour for all asset classes is to focus on development of high performance building, what we call HPBs, that follow premium construction standards that focus on high quality air, water, lighting. And such buildings should improve client retention, lower operating costs, and attract investor interest. On your second question on brand strategies, the differentiation lies in following the brand ethos, which honestly are very, very important from a perspective in selecting whether it is the developers or the investing extensively on CRM, using technology to enhance overall customer experience. It's all about, whilst making headline, we can develop initial brand loyalty, long-term customer retention, and brand value depends on continued customer servicing across the life cycle. Developers are investing a lot today in artificial intelligence-based chatbots, which primarily focus on serving the customers 24/7 in terms of property selection and transactions. We all get to see and hear about it, but the chatbot can help the customers to download the latest, whether it is invoices, receipts, and even those which are done in the past, account statements, construction images, and more. Another important element to enhance brand loyalty and long-term value creation is after-sales services. For reference, a hassle-free process for addressing snags post-project delivery can go a long way in building brand reputation. Basically, the customer centricity is the key to building brand trust across industries, whether it's customer goods, automobile, or real estate. That's my view, Abhijit. Over to you.
Thanks a lot, Sanke, for your insights. And yes, some of the key making decisions as per your industry are the health and wellness parameters. And most important is not only from a customer partner perspective, but it also from an investor perspective. A strong brand, creates a room for investor interest, and that helps to fund the organizations. And you also talked of using technology to improve the overall customer experience throughout the entire journey. And the latest technology trends with respect to chatbox AI. In fact, nowadays most of the organizations are using these digital transformation elements in order to improve their customer journey. So thanks a lot, Sanke, for your valuable insights. Going forward, brand construct is being transparent, doing what is expected, and shared values. Key to this is the internal culture of the brand becoming more evident. The expectation is how you deliver to those values with more purpose-driven activities so that you're living and breathing the values. A more thoughtful process is going into buying, and people are being more mindful about the choices they are making. Therefore, my next question goes to Abhishek Goel, which is, how can organizations reduce uncertainty, and how does the quality of products and or services impact the value of a brand? Over to you, Abhishek.
Thanks so much, Abhijit. Thank you, everyone. Very insightful views and comments earlier. So I think when we talk about reducing uncertainty, I think there are three stakeholders at play here in reducing uncertainty. One is reducing uncertainty in the mind of the customer, for which we need to first understand, what is the customer anxious about. Most of the times, what happens is we become anxious within the organization. So the employee uncertainty is so high, or the leadership uncertainty is so high, that you don't spend enough time looking at the customer and what their uncertainty might be. So the first stakeholder group is the customer. The second stakeholder group is the employee. And third, if I just broadly categorize it, it's the business. So if we look at these three stakeholder groups, managing uncertainty for the customer would require a deep understanding of what the customer's concerns during this time are. And for each business, it's likely to be different. We work with researchers around the world. When COVID first hit, we felt that with the lockdowns, research laboratories globally would be shut and research funding would be diverted to certain key areas. So our natural assumption as a business was, okay, let's conserve, let's be cautious. And as a result, however, if we acted primarily on that impulse, we would have gone wrong. We spoke to customers, we spoke to large customers. What we realized is that certain countries, there was extreme conservativeness in the funding. So, like, for example, Saudi Arabia, they changed research funding significantly, almost immediately. Whereas many other countries, it was just status quo. There were so many things that they were working on, busy about, that they didn't really look at funding with microlens, research funding with microlens. At the same time, researchers whose labs were closed had more time to write research papers. And because they had more time to write research papers, they were publishing more. And that's where we come in. We help researchers, scientists communicate the science better. So if we'd gone by a primary instinct, we would have assumed that to be true of the entire world. And we would have not factored in the nuances that different countries, geographies, and different sub-areas have. So that's just one small example on being able to understand the customer uncertainty. So does it mean customers were not anxious? Customers were anxious. Researchers were very, very anxious because there was this large, if you were in the biomedical sciences, there's this large expectation that the world had on you, that your lab would reposition itself, reinvent itself, and do something that's relevant to the current pandemic rather than going about business as usual, right? So I think the pressures we faced as businesses, our customers faced those and many more pressures because they were researchers in the front line, called in by the government, called in by funding bodies to demonstrate impact. So I think understanding the uncertainty of the customer is critical. Understanding your internal uncertainty as a company. So again, here we communicated very frequently to our to about 1,000+ employees internally across 7 geographies, and it was important to do this because each country was hearing different news of how the pandemic is affecting, and basically people tend to assume the worst. Because people are assuming the worst, if they are not focused on what they are doing, the work they are doing, the customer's experience gets sidelined. And like Akansha mentioned, Mohit mentioned earlier, especially in the services industry, if the employee is anxious themselves, there's no way they're going to be able to understand or empathize with the customer. So making sure employees understood the issue, were reassured of job security, was constantly communicated with about the future. I think some of those things helped the employees deal with their own uncertainty, and we continue to do that even today, even as we work from home broadly until March this year. And the final is, if these two stakeholder groups are taken care of, then I believe that business. So the starting point is often the business, but that needs to be pivoted, and it needs to be the customer. So I think many e-commerce companies got that wrong when the first month and a half, 2 months, and they just put their hands up and saying it's government directives are changing, there's nothing we can do. While things were definitely uncertain, but they could have done a lot more with the messaging on the websites, on email communication, or when customers placed order, what's available, what's not available. So they could have done a lot. I suspect that a lot was not done because the employees themselves were anxious. So your mind gets cluttered, you aren't thinking straight, and you aren't doing what is most obvious because you're just assuming the worst all around you. So I think brand trust, just going back to the primary theme, with the customer can be built by, I think, business leaders often make the mistake of assuming that uncertainty doesn't exist, or uncertainty needs to be taken by the horns, or all kinds of things. But uncertainty needs to be understood. It needs to be understood with empathy, and only when uncertainty is understood, like Akanksha's business, I was just amazed by the kind of things that they need to do, right, to make sure that the multiple stakeholders are satisfied. And if they don't understand the uncertainty that a family facing, which is very, very different from a normal relocation. It's a normal relocation compounded by 10, maybe. Then the employees will not be equipped to serve them well. So all the brand trust that's been built can get eroded, right? So I think, so that's my take on this. Thanks, Abhijit.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Abhishek. And I would certainly agree with you that you have to reduce the uncertainty in the minds of the internal ecosystem as well as the external ecosystem. And in order to reduce that uncertainty, you have to understand and address their concerns over a period of time. And since you come, from a research, perspective, I think you will have a better insight as to what elements actually help to understand those concerns, especially during these tough times. Well, I would also like to roll over this question to Alok and Sankip. You can take 2 minutes each to answer this particular question, like how your organization is reducing this uncertainty, and how the quality of your product and or services is impacting the value of the brand. Alok, if you can go first, and then Sankip can join.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and Abhishek gave a fantastic response. And I think one of the element of that definitely are employees. If employees are settled, and if they understand what is the North Star that they are chasing, it helps to better anchor and articulate the broader story. But let me take a moment back and just reflect on that question. See, what you're trying, it's very important to understand what are you trying to deliver in your brand value, because fundamentally everything else starts from there. If you are in a disposable cups and plates brand, then there is only so much that a customer expects from you in terms of brand value. And therefore, it's very important. So I just want to make sure that my answer is not in response to that. It's in a response of, if you were to be building a brand that is deeply engaging, that is long-term, that is not a one-time transactional experience, but more long-term, as Mohit was talking about, as Akansha was talking about, and many facets Abhishek was also talking about, then the long-term perspective of that brand and what you are trying to deliver from your product and services fundamentally changes. And this is where you have to really reflect upon how you are designing your business model. Let me just contextualize this slightly in the concept of our brand, NEC. NEC is the first thought of an NEC brand. While we say we are orchestrating a brighter world, in India, the research says that the first thought that it evokes is that it is made in Japan. Now that's a huge legacy to carry, good and bad both. I would focus on the good side of it. When you have a legacy of made in Japan, that legacy means it's 100% correct, precise, and working, no matter what happens. When you have a legacy like that, and then when you go out and begin to promise orchestrating a brighter world, you have to pivot away from just delivering a customer touch point to a customer journey. In the earlier example that I was talking about in aviation, we were saying we are empowering touchless and paperless boarding in the airports, powered by the facial recognition technology. A conventional model would say that you are just creating an experience where the customer doesn't have to take a printout. That's a customer touch point. But when you take a view of a full customer journey, we are looking at the entire customer experience and the digital experience that a customer will have. So you walk into an airport, you don't have to do anything. The moment you walk into the door of the airport, your face gets recognized, and through the ticketing database, a common DigiYatra ticketing database, on your app, you begin to get routing of which gate do you have to go to board. You don't have to go to any check-in counter. You don't have to go to a kiosk. You do not have to have a boarding pass. It's all on your phone. That's the power of this customer journey, that you are literally walking. You don't even have to tell somebody that you're boarding a flight from Mumbai to Delhi. The system already knows, and the system is expecting you on the gate at a certain time. If you don't arrive at a certain time, the announcements will begin to happen. You are a missing passenger. How do you harmonize that experience is what is extremely important. And the North Star for us is, even beyond the mind and soul of orchestrating a brighter world, is the promise of a delivery of made in Japan. That it will happen and it will work every time precisely, and it will never go wrong. When we supply a lot of hardware equipments to our very big clients here in India, and they come back and tell us that we have competing, Mr. NEC, we have competing products from your competitors, and they say, how do you guys make money? Because your products never break down. Whereas we are paying so much on servicing your competitor's product, your product really never breaks down. So how do you guys really make money? And that is a great moment of pride for us, because what we are delivering is a full customer experience, which is that you are not in business for us for one transaction. We look at your whole journey and we own your whole journey. And why should you paying for service? I think that's important. And then the other thing is that, a big element in delivering the value of your product and services is this whole concept of data. And how do you make sure that every facet of your organization, whether it is one department versus the other, whether it's partner, distributors, they are all interpreting the data in the same way. And therefore, we are all getting very enamored by the power of data. And we are all saying, oh, wow, how much can the data do? But I don't think we are all focusing enough on how the data is being interpreted by different functions in our own organization. Unless there is a common definition of what the data definition can be trained to deliver for the customer, we will not be very, very successful. And the third element of this is really about, the world is changing so fast for us. And given the pandemic situation, if you were in an apparel brand, if you were selling an apparel brand, you did not have to worry about many things that you have to worry about today. You created an ad and the customer walked into your physical store. They did the fitting, the sizing, and the feel of the apparel, and they would go and buy it. Today, when your entire model is shifting online because of the pandemic, suddenly you are getting crowded into a very common space, and your delivery and your fulfillment is being compared with the likes of big powerhouses like Amazon, which are good at delivering. So it's not anymore good for you to have great fit and good feel for your apparel. You should also be able to deliver it on time. And that is creating a very different complexity that a lot of businesses world over are trying to adjust. And we at NEC, thankfully, because of the power of technology that we use, were ahead of the curve in the way we were thinking about our brand and delivering it. So 2-3 points I made. One, not a customer touch point, but a customer journey. Power of data and training the data to deliver and power that product and services that you are aspiring your brand to be standing for. And number 3, making sure that you create a more harmonious proposition that is in tune with the changing time, and not living in a bubble, which is as if I can say, the old world bubble. In the new world, the pandemic is changing the definition of our business model completely. And how are we training ourselves to deliver to that? So those were the 2 or 3. It's a complex question to answer. Hopefully I tried to pull together 3 very complex dimensions in a short span of time. And Sankey, over to you. Sorry, probably I took more than 2 minutes.
Thanks, Abhijit. Thanks, Alok. In fact, I think Abhishek did justice and answered it pretty well. And an amazing views from Alok to take it, to the next level of literally explaining it and giving us a perspective. I would think a product quality is quintessential for any brand to be recognized and sustain its value. To be honest, the significance of quality offerings has improved further in recent times, with various media channels gaining prominence. To give you an example, Colliers, we conducted a survey recently to gauge the performance of a leading residential developer. The survey findings highlighted that the sustained quality focus, it played a key role in enhancing the brand recall and the ability to command premium over the competitors. Our survey findings indicated that the high brand recall emanated from the following attributes. A, it was the project specifications which are higher than the competitors. It had a construction quality which was much superior over its peers. And 3, a great track record of timely completion. So the higher brand recall enabled a client to command a premium over the competing projects even in challenging markets. So in the current scenario, consumers are looking for means to optimize their expenses and minimize long-term obligations. Developers across segments are considering implementing and following strategies to attract new clients and strengthen relationships with existing clients. If you look at the commercial offices, developers are considering offering part of the lease space to be marketed without lock-ins, to provide flexibility to occupiers to vacate premises in case the business requirements change. These were not something that were there in the past. Residential developers are adopting various marketing strategies, including cash discounts, waiver in stamp duties, GST, free car parking, attractive payment plans, sort of assured rents to lure prospective home buyers. The attractive payment plans offered by today residential developers have played a key role in attracting buyers, and we've seen a huge shift and a positive change in the residential market sector. Such schemes may require buyers to pay 5% to 10% upfront while paying remaining, on project completion. A lot of such offers you've been hearing and we see it. Such schemes are being offered by the large developers. The deferred payment schemes has played a key role in achieving sale of over 1,500 crores just from April to June 2020 period of COVID. Retail developers are offering revenue sharing model to majority of the retailers compared to a fixed minimum guarantee model prevalent pre-COVID. This revenue share model has converted rents into a variable cost, fixed cost earlier, and enhanced retailers' business viability, which has been the worst it has, during the COVID time. Most landlords in Delhi and Mumbai are offering a discount of up to 25% to the retailers until their sales pick up, while others have entered into a revenue sharing agreement. Finally, a collaborative approach with governments towards a sustainable approach will support overall human health and resiliency, in my opinion. Over to you, Abhijit.
Thanks a lot to all our panel members for the insightful discussions. I would like to wrap this up quickly by thanking all of our august panelists for their valuable insights and experiences. The discussions were extremely experience-centric, riveting, and I'm sure that our audience will take away some learnings from here and build a sustainable and competitive brand framework for their organizations. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all the panelists and the moderator for such a great panel discussion. Taking this evening and this event ahead, we have the next set of awards. It is for the inspirational leaders who have led from the front and elevated their brands in the industry and region. And the first award goes to Dr. Nashi Chauhan. Selected as India's inspirational leaders in education, Nashi Chauhan of the Anand Niketan Group is an innovative and inspirational educator who succeeds cultivating strong relationships with unparalleled faith and beliefs. And the next award goes to Jody Thomas Paradale. Selected as Inspirational Leader 2020, Mr. Thomas of Kore Communities is driving some real new age developments in real estate, refreshing and inspiring the country ever since. And the next award goes to R.K. Thomas. Selected as India's Inspirational Leader 2020, Dr. R.K. Thomas of Technopilot is an inspirational leader who is a true technology fortification maverick. Congratulations, sir. Next on the list we have an amazing personality, Mr. Hardayal Prasad. Truly inspirational and genuinely dedicated to the cause of growth and accountability. He is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of SBI Card, takes ethics and strategic planning at Core Success Ethos. Moving on, next up on the list we have Dr. Jaya Vaidyanath. Selected as India's most trusted CEO, Dr. Jaya of BCT Digital has led with passion and exuberance. Congratulations to our next awardee, Ms. Shweta Pathak. Scaling new heights, expensive jewelry that has carved a massive niche. Shweta Pathak of Akarshan Gems and Jewels has positioned creativity and uniqueness as the center point focus of success. Congratulations, ma'am. We'd like to heartily congratulate our next awardee, Mr. Ajay Harinath. Selected as a great Indian entrepreneur, Ajay Harinath of Darwin Platform Group has been a pioneer in the market with unique strategy and created a niche in every sector it has operated. Congratulations, sir. Moving on, we have Mr. Ramesh Balinga, the CEO of WaterTech. He has been chosen as India's most trusted CEO 2020 for his exemplary leadership that builds and drives passion, hard work, and sincerity with cultural values and ethics. Congratulations, sir. Moving on, we have Manu Jolly. Selected as India's inspirational leaders in education, Manu Jolly of DigiPerform has created a niche in the education of digital marketing through innovative and growth-oriented methods. Next awardee we'd like to congratulate is Mr. Sabyasachi Goswami. Selected as India's Most Trusted Business Leaders 2020, Sabyasachi Goswami of Perfios has driven growth with decisive actions and values. Congratulations to our next leader, K.S. Balakrishna Shetty. Selected as India's Inspiration Leader 2020, Mr. K.S. Balakrishna Shetty is inspiring India's rituals with Satya incense. Congratulations, sir. Moving on, we'd like to congratulate Dr. Nagma Abbasi. Selected as India's Inspiration Leader 2020, Dr. Nagma Abbasi of Next Gen Life Sciences is inspiring growth through passion and hard work constantly. Congratulations to our next winner, Dr. Anshu Goyal. Selected as an Inspiration Leader 2020 in the category of food, Anshu Goyal of Dedat Exports is adding new dimension to human lifestyle with her brand The Nature Fresh and Minar. Our next awardee is Mr. Abhinav Arora. Selected as India's Most Promising Leader 2020, Abhinav Arora of Eureka Outsourcing Solutions believes in being humble and building strong human connections as the core factors of success. Congratulations, sir. Next up, we have India's Most Trusted CEO 2020, Mr. Yatin S. Gupte. He is a true wizard when it comes to business versatility and accomplishments. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations to our next awardee, who's been selected as India's Most Trusted CEO 2020, Mr. Ketan Patel. Mr. Ketan Patel of Cache, he attributes his success to decision-making abilities that have transformed the company. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations to our next awardee, Mr. Kalyan Sridhar. Selected as India's Most Trusted CEO 2020, Kalyan Sridhar of PTC believes the core value in everything is execution. He leads the industry with precise execution every time he performs. Next one on the list we have Ashraf Motiwala. Selected as India's Inspiration Leader 2020, Ashraf Motiwala, Managing Director of AS Motiwala Heritage Jewelry, rose finished the jewelry industry in India to emerge as fine jewelry maker. Selected as India's Most Trusted CEO 2020, Jayanta Podar, MD and CEO of Decorazi Paints and Coatings, is driving the industry with his dynamic and vision-oriented leadership style. Congratulations, Mr. Jayanta Podar. Congratulations to our next awardee, who's been selected as India's Most Trusted CEO 2020, Mr. Lakshmananan Subhas Chandra. He is inspiring the renewable clean energy marketplace. Selected as India's Most Trusted CEO 2020 in the aviation category, we have Simran Singh Tiwana, CEO of Star Air. Selected as India's Most Trusted CEO 2020, we have with us Mr. Ganesh Iyer of Coolwings Technology. He is redefining and refreshing the industry at each and every step. Congratulations, sir. Next up on the list, we have with us Mr. Rishi Srivastava, the CEO and MD of Tata AIA. He is scaling new heights and redefining the industry with many firsts. Chosen as India's Most Trusted CEO 2020, he is one of the strongest CEOs in the BFSI industry. We have with us our next India's Inspiration Leader, Mr. Rajesh Sinha, the founder and CEO of Fulcrum Worldwide. Under his leadership, Fulcrum diversified its industry-specific offerings and expanded its operations to include UK, APAC and South America. Selected as India's Inspiration Leader 2020, we'd like to congratulate Mr. Rohit Ohri. He is an advertising and marketing genius. As the head of FCB India, Rohit has steered the firm into sheer excellence. Strong women aren't simply born, they are forged through the challenges. We have with us one such dynamic personality, Mrs. Archana Suresh Kute, who leads the Kute Group of companies as the managing director over the last decade. She is one such example. Chosen as India's most trusted CEO 2020, Mr. Alok Biswas of Jana Kalyan is committed to build a world-class financial institution for the economic upliftment of the underprivileged. Congratulations, sir. With over 9 years of experience in cybersecurity, we have with us our next awardee, Mr. Manan Shah, the founder and CEO of Avalanche Global Solutions. He has been the Microsoft Top 100 Security Researchers in the world. Selected as India's Young Leader 2020, he has been a regular TEDx speaker and setting industry benchmarks. We would like to congratulate our next awardee, our next winner, Mr. Sanjeev Kumar Sahani. Selected as India's Strongest Healthcare Leader 2020, he has steered many of the India's strongest healthcare brands to excellence. Congratulations, sir. As a new kid on the block with the startup manufacturing amusement rides, we'd like to congratulate Mr. Ravi Ganatra. He has won the National Award of Excellence for Design. Selected as WCRCINT India's Young Inspirational Leader 2020, Mr. Ravi Ganatra, the Managing Director of Stalwart International, is a true trendsetter. Congratulations, sir. We would like to congratulate Mr. Nipun Singhal. Selected as India's Inspirational Leader 2020, Nipun Singhal, CEO Amstrad, is regarded as one of the best in consumer appliances industry in India. He has driven many brands to extraordinary heights under his leadership. A perennial thrill seeker with an avid interest in transforming and improving lives around the globe through the world gift of technology, Abhig Datta of Henson Group is a dynamic young leader. His forte include leadership, problem solving, and putting cutting-edge technology. Last but not the least, we would like to congratulate Mr. Ravindra Sanna Reddy. Selected as India's Inspiration Leaders, Mr. Ravi of Sri City has driven the brand to ultimate heights. Regarded as a pioneer in many areas, his leadership attributes are industry benchmark. Congratulations, sir. Our next speaker of the day is Mr. Mario Smith, Managing Director, Lingle Windows and Doors Technologies Private Limited. An incredible leader, Mario has led the Lingle brand into new heights. Can we have his viewpoint on the brand?
Hello everyone and welcome to the world of Lingle Windows. It's my pleasure of being here today. It's my pleasure that you are actually watching me, that we are not tired of going online and watching webinars. Thank you for joining, and I hope I can give a lot of inputs, and on the end maybe some small take home where you say yes, whatever was spoken or whatever was just conveyed as a message is somewhere useful. Life after COVID, life after the pandemic, where we can say today maybe life after lockdown, but in the middle of the pandemic. We hope that in a year from now we are hopefully over and looking for a reasonable good winter in 2021. But as of now, yes, we have to stand and we have to fight and we have to prove ourselves every day that we are here to stay, and we are with the right concept to go over it. So many seminars, real seminars I attended in the last couple of years where we talk about disruption. And in disruption, we spoke about that your product is going to become maybe outdated, or someone as a larger size comes into your business and is going to try to eat your market share away. But with the pandemic, what we have seen in 2020, it's a complete new thing, because not just a region or an industry or a country, the entire world had to find a way how to come over it and how to live with it. And therefore, my first message, the leader has to stand. If you are the leader of your company, you have to stand, you have to have the vision, you have to come up with the right solution, you have to turn and tune yourself every day. Is it okay what I did? Can I do it better? Was there something which I could not forecast? And definitely in the current situation, there are so many things which we can't forecast. You should know, first of all, in which trade, in which business you are in. If you are privileged like us, where we are in the supply chain of building material, where we could move out quite early after the lockdown, or you're even more privileged that working from home and having maybe IT solutions, and the lockdown was actually favorable to you and not just a hindrance, or where you are in the hospitality industry or tourism, where your business till date is badly affected, where you can think as much as you can and not able to find a real solution because the circumstances are not made, then you have to tune yourself every day in what is happening, what was happened yesterday, and how to move on and how to put myself in the correct way for tomorrow. This is me. You will not believe it. It was me during the lockdown. Grounded like an aeroplane. A person like me who used to travel 4, 5, 6 days in a week, going to all our offices across the country, meeting our customers, our project across the country, was locked. This was the biggest impact so far ever on our business and on me personally. And there immediately I had to tune myself, I had to accept the situation, and yes, confirm the situation was good and was the best which could happen to the country. It has really protected the spread and the numbers of cases, that it didn't rise as quickly as it was happening elsewhere in the world. But for us, and especially for me, I had to see now that it wasn't the way to the airport, or it wasn't the way to the factory, it wasn't the way to any of my customers, it was just the way to my home office, starting my systems, having my cup of tea and having my mobile with me and connected to my team. And yes, we was not busy in playing Ludo, we utilized the time. So much innovation we did in the last 6 months, just amazing. Products, ideas, which were always there, and there was never time. There was never time to implement them, and just we had a gift. It was a gift which was never there before. We had time. And as I always say, you can buy anything in life, but you can't buy time. We have utilized it. And many new products, which I later on will talk about, got implemented. We got connected to our R&D team in Germany, as well as our knowledge partner in Malaysia. And we really made the best out of it while accepting the situation, tuning and turning ourselves in what we can actually do and what we can do to make the best out of it. Upgrading the internet speed, giving the internet connection to the employees, giving the systems so that we can be in touch, we could be in touch every day, and we could update. Worked in the morning, worked late hours, worked without any timing, but in the end, we really got it perfectly done. Many engagement projects we made internally within the Lingle member, because everyone was just again locked, not knowing what is happening and what is going to come, to encourage the people with new ideas, asking for suggestions. These are all things which we did during the lockdown, and in the end, I can say, as of now, it has paid off a lot that we used the time to its best. Let me speak about some general points. Customer behavior post-lockdown. We know ourselves, we are sellers, and at the same time, for many other products, we are actually the customer, we are the purchaser. And we know when the times are uncertain, then the customer is feeling the same what I'm feeling if I'm going to make a purchase. And as higher the value on the product is, as more the people are going to think. We do the same, right? Therefore, you have to create trust. Very important, trust, be reliable, and especially in our trade, building material supply, tailor-made products where we are not having anything ready-made, convey the messages and the information clearly to the customer. We are dependent on our supply chain. Like in the past where there was no flight connection between Germany and India, we do have to overcome, and there was for a short time even a delay. But we have to explain, if flights are not there, a product can't be shipped immediately. Or with our products which we are sourcing locally in the country, those suppliers do have the same problem of revamping. That's why important to convey the message and to speak the truth. This is happening at this day, or in case it could not happen, then you please tell why. Because important, your reliability, your own trust factor, your reputation is at stake. And we know good messages are spreading very slow and bad messages are just spreading a lot. And anything you should have in these days, but not a bad mouth information about you where maybe you are not even at fault, but you did something in conveying the message in the wrong way. Customer trust, customer information, and at the same time, when you have individual customer, get the testimonials, because it is important that people know who was actually happy with you. People know, oh wow, in spite of everything, they made it, they came on time, they got the team to the project, and they just finished the job and handed over in an amazing condition before time, or there was a slight problem because of supply chain, but they managed it very well. And at the time of the housewarming, our windows, our product was installed, and we are too happy with it. It is you who builds up the reputation, and it is you who has a big chance of spoiling it. Therefore, always be wisely, think twice. If you are going to take an order, are you able to execute it? Are you able to work on the proposed terms and conditions? This is where you as a leader day to day have to think again in your business, am I on the right track? And control it, control your team, control the supply chain, control your accountings, your finances, your funds, control it so that you know that the entire ship you are steering as a leader is going to move in the right direction. This was always important, and those points were always there. But in good times, you may lose someone and you will gain someone, and your business is not really affected. But in times today where the business is maybe not at the stage where it was and at the level where it was, it is very important for you as a brand, as a leader, to positioning yourself and not to take any chance that anyone can disrupt your brand and your reputation, because the pandemic has of course given us a lot of challenges, and now it's us to overcome. And this is my message to all the leaders: take care that nothing goes wrong with your brand.
Moving on, we have an amazing panel discussion discussing the new age rules in the corporate world to fuel a new age economy post-COVID-19. Our first panelist would be Ms. Sarita Singh, CEO, Priyadarshini Group of Schools. Our next panelist would be Dr. Jaya Vaidyanathan, Chief Executive Officer, BCT Digital. Our next panelist would be Mr. Kalyan Sridhar, Managing Director, PTC India. Our next panelist would be Mr. Alok Biswas, Chief Executive Officer, Jana Kalyan Finance. Last but not the least, our next panelist would be Sabyasachi Goswami, CBO, Perfuse Software. And moderating the session would be Mr. Abhimanyu Ghosh, Editor-in-Chief, WCRC International. Over to you, Mr. Abhimanyu.
Organized together by two of India's topmost consulting and research companies, that's Whitepage International and iBrand 360, along with, of course, the famous Malcolm McDowell Academy, who is the process advisor and evaluator of all our processes. Welcome to this panel discussion today on new age strategies in the post-COVID era. Welcome all of you firstly. The need for speed has never been greater than today as companies adopt new ways of working at speed. Executives are also interested in moving to flatter, non-hierarchical structures, taking more radical approaches to decision-making and ways of working. Gone are the days of waiting around for best practices to emerge. CEOs today recognize the need to shift to adrenaline-based speed during COVID-19 to speed up design for the long run. The winners are experimenting now and boldly. When the coronavirus pandemic erupted, companies had to change. Many business as usual approaches of serving customers, working with suppliers, and collaborating with colleagues or just getting anything done would have failed. They had to increase the speed of decision making while improving productivity, using technology and data in new ways, and accelerating the scope and scale of innovation. And it worked. Organizations in a wide range of sectors and geographies have accomplished difficult tasks today and achieved positive results in record time, redeploying talent, launching new business models, developing new products, shifting operations, and much, much more. And I think that's what winning companies really do. Our discussion today focuses on changes required to be adopted for smoother operations and leadership functions during this extremely tough times. We are going through an anxious period, but winning companies set benchmarking standards. Winning companies show the way. Our discussion today focuses on changes required to make this happen. Our eminent panelists today are Dr. Jaya Vaidyanathan. Welcome, Dr. Jaya Vaidyanathan. She's the CEO of BCT Digital, a global speaker, entrepreneur, thought leader, and an expert on financial services and technology. Jaya Vaidyanathan is the CEO of BCT Digital, a global technology company specializing in innovation in the predictive analytics and AI space with a focus on financial services. A portfolio of skills include driving product strategy in digital transformation space, product innovation, risk management, mergers and acquisitions, technology delivery, and execution. She's a multi-award winner, fintech innovator, entrepreneur, and thought leader. Jaya is a globally recognized speaker. Welcome, Jaya, to this panel discussion. Next, we have Mr. Kalyan Sridhar. Mr. Kalyan Sridhar is the Managing Director and Country Head of PTC India, a successful leader with proven track record of 20 years in senior executive roles spanning sales, business development, business operations, and channel sales in the IT industry. Kalyan joined PTC in 2015 and has put PTC India on a very aggressive growth trajectory buoyed by very strong portfolio as well as vibrant market for PTC in India. Prior to PTC, Kalyan was with IBM for 17 years and has done a variety of roles. A science graduate with post-graduation in business administration, Kalyan is an avid golfer and a cricket enthusiast as well. Welcome, Kalyan.
Thank you. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, hi. Next, we have, of course, Mr. Sabyasachi Goswami. Sabya is the Chief Business Officer of Perfio Software, an extremely fast-moving company today. He has 18 years of experience with proficiency in business development, sales strategy, operations, and sales and marketing activities. He has proven skills in breaking new avenues, driving revenue growth with optimal utilization of resources, and proactively conducting opportunity analysis to accomplish multifold revenue increases. Welcome, Sabya, to this panel discussion. Thank you very much for joining us. We have Dr. Sarita Singh, CEO of Priyadashini Group of Schools. She has been recently featured in Forbes India as a self-made woman who defies the notion of barrier. Her opinion and ideas of education system and the toll of COVID on students have been well accepted. She has emphasized on the importance of mental and emotional well-being of students in these times. An entrepreneur, teacher, and a leader for excellence, Sarita Singh is the CEO of India's leading group of schools, Priyadashini, which she has built with extreme passion, providing highest quality education. Welcome, Sarita, to this panel discussion. Last, we have Mr. Alok Biswas. Mr. Biswas has been the founder and CEO of various companies. Today, he is the founder and CEO of Janakalyan Finance. A pass out of Xavier Institute of Management, Bhubaneswar, Mr. Biswas is a new age entrepreneur in the microfinance and BFSI industry who started from very humble beginnings actually and made a huge mark for himself through hard work and dedication. As a leader of many top BFSI brands that excelled under him, Alok founded Janakalyan Finance, inspired by Grameen Bank of Bangladesh, Today, his brand is helping and empowering the needy and is on a highly sustainable business model. Welcome all of you to this panel discussion at the Ideas Fest. We will seek your opinion and your guidance to this industry. This telecast is broadcast to various sorts of people, from top corporates to student to government to bureaucrat. We would want opinions from you as thought leaders of today who are driving companies to excellence, their brands to excellence. Give a perspective on leadership, your brand, and the industry per se. I think we would start with Dr. Jaya Vaidyanathan. Jaya, if you could kindly give your opinion on the same. We can leadership, industry, and your brand, and we'll move one by one to everybody. Yeah.
Sure. Maybe I'll give you a quick snapshot view on what leadership means today. The world went in the flick of a second from being flat, right? The world is flat, to being very siloed. And we don't know what the new normal, what shape the world is going to be. So that the dynamics of economies has changed substantially during this time, which means that there is more thrust for going local and then going global. So I think what it means for our industry per se is that we have shifted a lot of development locally, and that was one of the strongest things that kept us ahead in terms of both the growth and revenue curves in today's post-COVID times. About 7 years back, we decided that we would make products in India for India. And that was something that was more with the localization of the demands that fits our unique business needs, especially in the BFSI space. I'm sure Alok and others will talk about how in India, the need for microfinance and how the whole world needs to be looked differently. Let me probably pick an example and then walk you through all of that, leadership, brand, and industry, through that as an example. One of the things that we've been grappling with is the issue of, in the banking world, of raising NPAs. Post-COVID, that's just going to be more and more increasing rampantly. And the way the world views NPAs and the way India views NPAs is completely different. The reason is it comes from two factors. One is willingness to pay, second is ability to pay. The ability to pay is universal, and that is something that prevails across all geographies. So that's a commonality thread that we carry through. The willingness to pay is something that where there is a lot of cultural influence which comes from a localization of habits. So I think it is more to do with, do you take a global product and bring it to India, or do you keep it local, fitting with the unique cultural nuances of the situation itself? Answer to that was create your own space, which was an early warning system that we came up with, one of our pioneering software, which was to look at more in the presence of create locally, and the product fits in certain segments globally, launch it outside India. So complete paradigm shift in terms of being flat to localization, which we are seeing increasingly as the borders shut, people could not travel much. The emphasis on building locally, or Atmanirbhar Bharat as we call it, is something that is here to stay. Leadership styles are to do with fail fast, fail safe. It's not about, our vision for the next 10 years, what do you build? But it's more about hyper local and building it fast, building it safe. There is capital available in plenty if you know how to tap it. The bigger houses have access to cheaper foreign funds. The local or the micro segments have governmental incentives. So there's plenty of capital. It's more about how do you keep innovating within your own framework, and then come up with new, products that fit this particular niche. Again, example, if a person is selling vegetables, right, today, is the person selling vegetables, or is he in the business of selling? So that is a paradigm shift that you'll have to really look at and do that. I think from a brand perspective, from an industry perspective, there's been a lot of untapped and white spaces that we are seeing post-COVID, Example would be a segment of quantification of losses. I sit on the board of multiple international companies, and one thing we've all been grappling with is the issue of how do you quantify and say this is the exact loss that you're going to see? And based on your industry exposure, how do you see whether it's going to be a J curve or a V curve, or what is going to be the magnitude of losses and how much can you stand by it? And that's a response to it is a dynamic shift in terms of a new product. So leadership styles are distant, it's virtual. How do you keep people engaged during that? How do you keep attrition at the minimum? And how do you build on the social equity that you put in from the past to tap on in terms of influencing a larger audience to stay connected? I think that's to do with leadership. With brand is more about perseverance, trust and consistency, and your ability to deliver despite the crisis. And the industry, as you see, it's dynamically shifting, it's stress prone. So how do you respond quickly to major issues within the industry? And how quickly are you able to stay? And how quickly are you able to innovate and stay on top using emerging technologies, or maybe not? Technology is just an enabler. It's business first, technology next. And that's where I would rest it.
Okay, great. Mr. Sridhar, your viewpoint?
Yeah, and I think Jaya covered a lot of it. I mean, being innovative, staying on top. It's kind of interesting. A viewpoint. I come from a different industry. Which is primarily focused around manufacturing, and we offer solutions for manufacturing industry. Now, if you look at it, COVID-19 today has not only had an impact on the health of people at large, but also the economic damage that it has left and will continue to render may prove to be a lot more damaging than the pandemic itself. This is my humble opinion. The post-COVID era is going to be very interesting, as I firmly believe that any crisis can speed up development and help in bringing a lot of refocus into the task at hand. Now, over the past 6 to 7 months, ever since the pandemic struck, business leaders like Jaya talked about it, innovated and come out with new products. They've in the manufacturing industry, they've reorganized supply chains. They've made very tough financial decisions. I think it's something which you've seen organizations do day in, day out. Step up the infrastructure to work in the new normal and a lot more. While we're still talking about vaccines and all of that, we really don't have an end in sight, and not much seems to be different from where we started off 6-7 months back. And crisis typically, in my opinion, plays over 3 phases. I would call it the react phase, when the crisis strikes and a company is looking at dealing with the situation that's in front of them, and becomes more reactive to what is the action needed for the task at hand. The second phase is what I term it as the recovery phase, where we learn and we try to emerge stronger. And the last phase is what I would want to term it as the growth phase, where we prepare and shape up for the new normal. Today we all accept this is the new normal, and we'll need to, shape up and prepare for that. So the priority, therefore, is to re-energize rather than react, and not just act, but act boldly. And I think that's going to be the new normal. We, like many of you, have been impacted with the pandemic, and we've been challenged both to respond and to rethink our workforce strategies in real time. We acknowledge that the recovery will have to be continuous, and we are not going to put a date and say, okay, on this particular date we're going to be done with COVID, and we will see that behind us. So we are now emerging from the react phase with our focus firmly on the next challenges, which is on recovery. And talking about that, I again feel that we may never return to the old way. I mean, I know I'm being a little too harsh out here, but in my opinion, we may return, but it's certainly not going to be the same way of working and doing business that we were used to pre-COVID, and we are now looking at the recovery in two dimensions. I mean, this is PTC as an organization. The first and foremost one is internal, which is more around employees. And to be brutally honest, our employees have demonstrated amazing resiliency in embracing the new reality. It was certainly not easy. I mean, we've been a sales organization. We continue to be a sales organization with most of us being out on the field meeting customers. Last 8 months, we've been sitting at home, staring in front of a screen and trying to do business. I mean, it's certainly not an easy wave for us to embrace, but our employees have done pretty well, and I should also accept that it has been very unsettling as well. We found that some of our employees embraced working from home very well, while a lot more felt it very uncomfortable or unproductive. Now, we've practically been trying to get a balance and to accommodate these expectations, and that's really helping us move forward. The second aspect is around the external factors. I mean, and primarily for us, the external is our customers and manufacturing industry at large, whom we serve with our products and solutions. Now, these companies, they need to make changes quickly and with great success. To me, Industry 4.0 is the convergence of disruptive digital technologies that could change the manufacturing industry and their imagination. And Industry 4.0 is not new. It was there pre-COVID. It was already transforming the manufacturing sector beyond imagination. Now it is becoming even more relevant, and it's really taking it to the next level. Now if you look at it, Industry 4.0 is characterized by 4 foundational technologies. The first one is around connectivity and data, which is primarily nothing but things like IoT. The second is around analytics, and I think JR talked about it in the BFSI industry as well. The third is the human-machine interaction. We're talking about things like augmented reality. We're talking about things like virtual reality. We're talking about robotics, RPA, etc. out here. And the last one is additive manufacturing. We're talking about 3D printing, which is going to revolutionize the manufacturing industry at large. So overall, if you look at it, we are seeing the role of Industry 4.0 as being very critical to fuel growth in the manufacturing sector post-COVID. Organizations today are adopting digital solutions and are likely to emerge far more stronger than their peers who are not. We also see differential adoption for solutions like digital twins, which requires the IT/OT to come together. While large enterprises with financial muscle will leapfrog on adoption, our effort is to try and help the SMEs and the smaller businesses who are in a more challenging liquidity position. I mean, I hear JR saying financial. I mean, if you know who to approach, you're probably going to get finances. I mean, which is music to a lot of people's ears. But the pandemic has caused also to a lot of companies to freeze their Industry 4.0 initiatives to preserve cash. But in my opinion, as more businesses emerge from this crisis, the case for digitization is going to get a lot stronger. And that, to me, is going to fuel the growth post-COVID. This is my thought on what the manufacturing industry is likely to go through.
Okay, great. Sabya, your viewpoints?
Yeah. I echo what Kalyan and Jaya said. And partly I belong to the same industry to what Jaya belongs. We serve almost similar clients in the BFSI. See, I would start by saying that I want to be an optimist. Okay. Having said that, there are things that may happen, may not happen. So the phrase in my head is bounded optimism. Okay. So it gives all the leaders a chance to bring purpose to the chaos that we have been running so far. Having said that, what I'm trying to say is this is the time where the leaders can become a lot more human. Maybe a little bold statement, but I would make that statement. A lot more human. It's time to show vulnerability with optimism. And it's also the time where you over communicate. I think all this last 6-7 months, globally probably about a year now, communication has been essential to the employees, to your suppliers, vendors, partners, and your investors. So I think that's also key element for any leader, or has been becoming more essential in last couple of months. I think the 4 E's, which is very basic principle we would have learned in our management colleges as well, has seen prominence at this time, which is energy. The leader has to be very energetic. We would have heard, we would have seen some in our lifetime, but this is the time where it was actually a test of the leader, how energetic the leader was actually, because it was very important to bring the team and the partners together and collaborate. So without that was not possible. So I think the companies which had those kind of leaders stayed good and are doing good. Second was empathy. Anyone who has ensured the employees don't sink, their partners don't sink, and their investors don't sink, are doing fine. I think it is tough time, but they're still doing fine. So I think it's very important to keep that in mind. Then is engagement, partly very, very critical, because even without face-to-face meetings, as Peter was saying, virtually also you were supposed to engage with your employees and your clients and your different suppliers and partners. If anybody has engaged a little less, I'm sure they would be feeling that pinch. So it was very important that you engage as well. And finally, the equilibrium. Because what pandemic has taught us was to stay calm, composed, and close to the nature and your family. I think we were all staying away from all of those elements. It has definitely brought back all of us closer to all the elements that I mentioned. So I think these are very important from a leadership capabilities and abilities that should have been demonstrated in any kind of crisis, in a normal scenario also, but in the crisis, this would have got demonstrated more so. I would say from a brand perspective, Perfios has actually, I would say we were kind of prepared. When this started coming in October, November, when we started early from China, since we are in the digital space, so obviously as an industry, we definitely gained, because it was in the BFSI vertical, digital was the buzzword. On certain verticals, digital has taken off, but certain verticals, they were still kind of contemplating how do we go about it, whether the market is ready, whether the people are ready, all of it. But I think pandemic just ensured that everybody goes digital. There is no other way, because your touch and feel experience has gone away. So you can't go and meet the customer and open an account. You can't go and give a loan physically. All this was supposed to be served digitally. So definitely from an industry perspective, we saw some amount of benefit there. Though the demand lacked, the supply was ample, I would say that. From a Perfios standpoint, as I was saying, from October, November, we were kind of ready. So we could transition from a co-location kind of concept immediately to a virtual concept. Our BCPs were almost put in place in no time. So none of our clients, we serve roughly about 280 odd clients across the globe, about 17 odd countries. None of them got impacted even for an hour. It was smooth transition without any impact. So I think that was a really big achievement. It was always in IT or any kind of industry, you would always hear about BCP. In a lifetime, you would get a chance to actually execute a BCP, and we had to actually. So, and you can understand a bank coming crashing down any of their system, it created a hell lot of a chaos. So we had to take all those into account, and it was very, very smooth. So I think what helped there was from, again, coming back on that one quality of a leader, which is our top management, telling the truth. So in October, November, we told the truth to all our employees and our clients that there is definitely something big hitting us. We better prepare ourselves. So I think as much as you can tell the truth and be prepared, probably your employees will also support you in the tough times, and which we have seen. We also felt that setting the priorities right was very critical. And during the last quarter, though most of the companies, the last quarter, Q4 is very, very critical. So apart from preparing for the last year Q4 ending financial results, we were preparing how can we make this transition smooth for all our clients with zero impact kind of thing. So the Q4, from our engineering perspective, we spent a lot of effort to build all those capabilities, which ensures that the clients doesn't get any kind of impact. So I think from a brand, we showed our resilience to any kind of this kind of crisis. We did not underestimate the crisis, neither we overestimated the crisis. We knew that obviously we bifurcated the crisis. I would not repeat in the interest of time what Sridhar mentioned, into 3 phases: the shutdown phase, the recovery, and the new normal. I would say the shutdown and the recovery is almost over. It's the new normal. In the last 2-3 months, we are seeing the complete new normal, both in terms of client perspective as well as our own employees' perspective. So it's a new normal for us, and we were well prepared for that. I'll leave it at that, and probably we'll get back.
Okay, great, Sabya. Sarita, can we have your viewpoint? Can't hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I just lost the track. What was the question again?
No, your viewpoint now on the entire discussion.
The thing is, as far as the education is concerned, we were actually absolutely not prepared for this. It happened overnight. And, initially when the lockdown came, we thought it is just for 15 days and then probably we can, go on and probably the physical schools will start. Actually, I don't know, nobody was prepared. None of us, my parents, students, us, none of the educators, none of the schools were prepared. And since our schools are in the interiors, the teachers are not trained as far as the online education is concerned. So everything happened overnight. The tables were turned. And then we realized this is going to go on and on and on. And then suddenly we had to pull in a team together and train the teachers overnight. It was like overnight, very fast. And then it was becoming so difficult. Were not able to come, sitting at home and teaching. So obviously the quality of education has been definitely affected. But suddenly there was a hype created in the market, that in the education sector, the edutech or the AI, is like dominating the market, which I feel was a hype. Because let me tell you, even before the crisis, there was already a very, very high growth and adoption in the education technology. If you look at the global edtech investments, they were reaching up to $18.66 billion in 2019.
That's right.
And the overall market for online education, which was projected, was $350 billion by 2025. Okay, so nothing was new. Online education or artificial intelligence or apps and everything was we were already implementing. There were robotics in our schools. There was a lot of online education happening already, but it was not completely online. So what happened with us, like we had to go step by step, slowly. So because of that, the quality of education was definitely affected, and then nobody can replace the physical classrooms, right? All of your kids might be taking online classes right now. Maybe they're taking online classes for schools or colleges. So initially, even the students thought that probably it is just a phase, and it will pass. But now the frustration levels of the students have gone so high, the lack of interest, anxiety, depressions, loneliness. Because what happens initially, the parents were with the students. Then the work started, offices started, business started, then we all started going out. So at least first parents were the, now to the students were absolutely alone, lonely at home. So this was actually were taking a toll, on the students' psychological and emotional health. And I would like to ask all the panelists that how are these children doing and going through. And the frustration is actually coming on the parents, and the parents are becoming punching bags. And I'm sure everybody is going through that. So online education.
Yeah, sorry to disturb, just to
Yeah.
break. Of course, this pandemic got people together, families together. However, data says a little different story. Huh? Data says, like what Sarita is saying, the frustration. Domestic violence cases in India have gone up.
Yes.
Violence cases in India have gone up. Depression cases in India have gone up. So are we saying too much of bonding with the family is also not right, and people need to have
A hard-hitting fact. This is a hard-hitting fact. I will tell you the hard-hitting fact. As far as every member of the family was going out, everything was fine, in harmony. The moment everybody was sitting at home, the reality came off. The reality, it's just not about the relationships between a husband and wife, but the relationships between the parents and children and everybody, even the servants and the maids. So everything was falling apart because everybody lost a sense of purpose. Everybody had a sense of purpose, getting in the morning, getting ready, going somewhere, achieving something, doing something in life. That was totally lost, and everybody became each other's punching bag. So for schools, for education sector, online is just an last option, and we don't have anything, so we go online, but it's not going to sustain.
Education industry very badly these days. There is no doubt on that. There are some industries which are doing well, like SME is a backbone of a country. SME as an industry, I'll come to Dr. Jaya and Sabya on this a little bit later, but SME as an industry, as a total vertical, has virtually collapsed during this lockdown and the pandemic situation. And it is not too good for the country. It is leading to the economic crisis. We will come to that. Just finish your viewpoint. We'll go to Alok and then come back to you once again.
Yeah, so my point is like everything is fine as far it's for a certain period, but now the frustration levels are going very high. The student, they want to come on the campus, they want to have a social, emotional touch, which was always there with the schools, which is impossible with a machine, with this what we are sitting in front of each other. Like if this event was live, I would have been sitting and I would have been talking about life and other things also, and we would have been more comfortable with each other probably. But now there is a barrier, right? There is a barrier of this technology, I would call, or AI. So that barrier doesn't work with the students because they are small. They need emotional touch. We are social animals, they need to socialize. So this won't survive in the education sector, and this something has to be done immediately so that the schools start. at least once a week or something, wherein the children go and refresh their minds.
Going on, by the way, there's another huge cases are rising in Bombay and Delhi. Delhi definitely is going to go for a market lockdown. If company lockdown happens once
Exactly.
again, both in Delhi and Bombay, but definitely containment zone market lockdowns are again restarting. And let's say, for example, Delhi, the national capital, is a very trader-based city. Like Bangalore is IT, Bombay is finance. Delhi is very trader-based. You know, if the system collapses, if that happens once again, there is anxiety. Of course, there are companies which are doing extremely well. There are certain industries which are doing fantastically well. Then there are winning brands who planned everything, and then of course there are this huge number of companies have shut down. The SME industry is in real doldrums. To say. So we'll come to those questions. We'll come to Alok for your viewpoint, and then I'll put some questions on each one of you. Yeah, Alok.
Yeah, hi to everybody. I'll take my madam because you see that I am totally from a different industry. It's a microfinance industry. As you know, we are dealing with a very small, vulnerable section of the. You can tell poorest of the poor section of the India.
Yeah,
and as you know that. Yeah,
well,
correct.
in this.
So if I go on speak, this 10 minutes, 15 minutes is nothing actually because this is a very big market. There's 80. If you think about the market, it is nearly for 80 crores. Out of 140 crores Indian, is 80 crores is our market. It is not small. It is very, very big. And if you look at the industry, and always we used to talk about the industry that is a resilience industry because these people are always vulnerable and they are having a back in the wall. So whatever in this lockdown and COVID era, I'll talk about something about industry, then I'll come about that leadership and brand. Brand actually is different thing to industry. If you look at the industry as a whole, it was always resilience because in 2010 we had a big epic story in Andhra Pradesh. One big crisis was there because of the SKS microfinance issue was there, and all government and everybody has gone everywhere, and they told that in parliament everywhere it was there that you people are charging onerous interest and you are using this so many clauses and also using muscle power and to the vulnerable section. So a lot of issues was there. Then government came and in 2011, May 2011, some sort of regulation came with RBI guidance and all this issue. So we have seen the resilience and the market was only 20,000 crore. Then you look at 2016, another story of demonetization. That time also people suffered like anything. But every time when the resilience is, when the industry bounced back like anything, this simply from 20,000 crore in 2016 it is 2 lakh crore, and now it is 8 lakh crore business. And market is hugely open, and it is, as you know, that we are providing only 20,000 to 30,000 rupees only a poor borrower. They are asking only 20,000, 30,000. You people think that smartphone cost is 27,000 or 28,000, but they are borrowing us from 20,000 to 30,000 rupees. And what they are doing with this money, they are repaying back with 12 installment or 24 installment in a year or 2 years product. So 20,000, you just imagine how much money is there. So maid servant and all this, whatever is there, vegetable vendor, 80 crore people are there with us. So here actually, if you look at a lot of crisis because they don't have means, their local train is not there. And as you told, Mr. Abhimanyu was talking about SME and other things, is all interlinked because all people are working because there is a supply chain issue is there in everywhere. So because a local train or containment zone, whatever you tell, they are most sufferer of this country. And when they are sufferer means we are also sufferer. So our repayment rate and all these things has gone haywire, and we are always hoping back that the government will support us, and government is supporting us through the special liquidity facility and all these things. But the industry as a whole, another issue is that the brand, actually another point is the brand. If you talk about brand, slowly after 2016, the brand already gone over. There is no brand actually. Microfinance itself is a brand. Whether it is a Janakalyan or whether it is a Kramin Kuta or whether it is any other company, slowly the brand, government actually wanted that the brand should not be there in NBFC sector. Recently, a circular already came that NBFC should be converted into a small finance bank or something like this. So my idea when I started this company, Jagaran, another microfinance company, my idea was to start a small bank. That is my idea. That's why I left Axis Bank and started their bank. But somehow with the investor and all these things could not manage, and that's why the company is running well. But I have to leave, and I started Janakalan. So my aim is to open another bank also. That is my aim actually. So brand actually, what I am looking, it became a commodity product. And if my collection rate is 70% or something like this, the same thing also from the Annapurna or Bandhan or somebody else also there. Bandhan is a big player, they became bank as a microfinance industry. So slowly the brand equity already gone. So brand equity has not, and madam actually told that two big thing actually, it is related to me, the willingness to pay and ability to pay. I jot down so many things about ma'am actually, ma'am, Jaya madam has told so many good things. And the ability to pay and willingness to pay, we are now facing that willingness to pay because some unlock is there and we saw that everything is okay, but people are not willing to pay because they are thinking that second wave of lockdown will be there and how they will survive. So that's keeping the money with them and they are not paying us. And if you look at the leadership, so brand, I told you that, and if you look at the leadership is always about the management of the employee. In our business, it is the employee majorly. Customer, there are two types of customers that madam told, that is the thing is there. And they are more or less after the last 10 years actually in this industry, seen a lot of things are there. Credit bureau, check is there, then artificial intelligence, digital collection. Now we are going for digital onboarding also. So many things are there. So leadership is that how we'll manage the company and how to stay afloat. And Shabashachi also told something that should be very human and brutal. I don't know how you can be brutal and how you can be human. Both you can. I don't know how it can be. So at the same time, we are facing this problem for last 9 months to 10 months. We have not no retrenchment. Even salary increase was also there. So we are managing somehow to our cost and all these things because it's very good, very bad time. And RBI also giving some relaxation, ALM mismatch. A lot of issues are there. We are facing a lot of problems. And equity market also, as you know, that the Indian market has most of the people are going to digital, that's e-commerce and all these things. So are going that in that line actually. Those who are doing good, mainly e-commerce majorly. Not anybody else is doing good, mostly. And the digital part, some fintech people are there. So digital collection, see that we have tied up with the PayU and we are doing the digital collection. But see that for 880 rupees premium, that collection amount is suppose 880 rupees. For that I have to pay 4 rupees 15 paisa charges. They will deduct from the customer and 7 rupees 12 paisa they will cut from us. So for 880 rupees we are paying 11 rupees. So that is the thing actually we used to talk for since 2008 actually. If you look at that, in this MFI industry was going for this digital collection, they were going on trying. The cost actually somebody should be subsidized, either government or something else. Otherwise, this digital collection will not see that government. What the government wanted that digital collection should be there. It is only related to only 10 crore people of India, not another 80 crore whom we are dealing. They are already excluded. We are people to financial inclusion. Actually, still 80 crore people are excluded actually out of financial inclusion. So I can talk a lot of things about microfinance and all these things, but still, I'll just here.
So
and
I
any
have
question,
a question for Sabya, you can answer this. Sabya, being an absolute optimist, being a head of business development, you need to be optimistic and positive all the time to drive revenues. You're an analytics person, primarily with analysis. Now, there is this tough time, there is no doubt on that, okay? Point is, how do you revive the SME industry in India since both of you deal a
I think we lost Abhimanyu.
We did, but I think just staying on for a couple of minutes, maybe he'll come back.
Well, it was 3 to 4, so only 3 minutes left. He might be lost.
Yeah,
Is
to be back in probably 10 seconds. I think is some issue with the Wi-Fi, and that's why sometimes it gets difficult to do all these things digitally. So he's going to be back in about 10 seconds.
So the technical glitches.
Absolutely.
So there, Madam Sarita actually told us that this technical things, an online class, that will not help the people. So children
imagine the
need
kind of frustration the students going every day.
that. To be another thing is that when they are in the interior of the quality, then they might have another issue of this Wi-Fi and all these things. They don't have Wi-Fi, they have an internet connection, and that also not working properly.
No, my daughter, we are in Mumbai and we have Airtel connection and it goes on and off several times. So whether you're in the interior, doesn't work. It's India. And you have to accept that fact.
That's why we have a hybrid technology actually. We are using loan operator on origination system, LOS. Mostly we are using technology for loan origination and collection, everything. It is a hybrid model. So when you are off, then also it will work. When it will come, then it automatically upgrade the server.
So Sarita, while we are waiting, I mean, how are you seeing the education system changing? I mean, is this going to be some kind of a new normal where you're going to have online classes for probably a couple of days of the week, and then have classes, in person, maybe for the rest of the time? Or do you see anything changing there post COVID as well?
No, I think they are craving, the students are craving to come back to school because it's just not about the online classes. There are so many physical, emotional, and mental activities. Then, this like football matches, and then we have martial cadet trainings, and we have swimming sessions, horse riding, archery, shooting. So basically it's just not about the children come to the school, they might hate their maths or science teacher, but then there is something which they might like there is Christmas carnivals, December fest, and all that. So how are you going to do all this online? So as far as I know, it's just not about my school in the interior, but my daughter is in an international school in Mumbai. It's Oberoi International, and then she's on laptop from morning 8 o'clock till 3, in between some eating breaks and all. And by the time she come out of the room, she has this big dark circles and she's so gloomy. And then all these kids are facing vitamin D deficiency, then body aches, the immune systems are going down, the appetite has gone down. So it's not going to work. It's definitely not going to work because schooling is like overall development. It's a holistic development, and also parents to be on their own, like whether you have a 2-year-old or a 16-year-old, if he's getting bored, he's feeling lonely, he's going to use you as a punching bag. So you're handling your business, you're handling your work online, and then at the back of the mind, you're also worried about your child being alone at home. So it's like we all are in this together.
Yep.
I think psychologically, schools were built not for education, but to give parents a chance to be on their own and have their own time, and even give children a time to get away from the parents to become independent, mentally and emotionally. So that aspect has not taken into consideration. And you tell me whether I think Sarmad is back.
Yeah. So I was listening
We
to
are
both of
having
you.
our
It was
own
good.
discussion, Sarmad.
Yeah, that's perfectly all right. And Abhimanyu is having some sort of a technical glitch. So I thought probably I'll quickly, get in the discussion and probably ask all of you to give closing remarks, maybe, a 30-seconder from all of you about, what should be the winning strategies in this, in these difficult times. Probably 2 to 3 winning strategies for your own organizations, and of course for your specific industry. A 30-seconder from all of you. Probably we'll get started with Ms. Jaya. If you can give us a 30-seconder closing remarks.
Stay innovative, stay connected, and stay empathetic. Those would be my 3 cents for winning strategy for COVID. Not just COVID, for a successful business, especially in the post-COVID times.
Perfect. Yeah, I think these are absolutely relevant in this, in this time we're facing. And we hope to get through all of this soon and get back to our normal lives. Mr. Kalyan, you next.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jaya talked about it from an individualistic standpoint. To me, from an organizational standpoint, it's about reflecting, it's about recommitting, and it's about re-engaging. So I think if you can do that, you're gonna stay relevant and stay successful.
Absolutely. Moving to Mr. Sabyasachi, if you can give closing remarks on this topic.
Yeah, I think we all have learned to be more adaptable, definitely. So I think it's the need of the hour. The higher the adaptability and resilience, probably will be able to manage the volatility, the uncertainty, the complexity, the ambiguity. All these are very common words now that will remain and stay with us for a while. So the more adaptable we become, the more collaborative approach that we take, I think we'll be able to sustain all of this. So it's very, very important. And one important thing which I would leave everyone with is we need to all learn to give up control. I think in the situation of crisis, it is obvious and seldom that the solutions will come from a top-down approach. It can come from anywhere. And the delegating it swiftly and getting out a solution from anyone who has it and who has the creativity to think of an innovative solution, I think is the need of the hour. So if you don't give up control or you don't empower your people, you'll lose it. I think that's very, very critical. That's the thought I'll leave with.
Sorry, I lost my connection, but I lost a little track. So someday you spoke from where I left.
No, actually.
So I was asking them about their closing remarks.
No, Abhimanyu, I think it was a quick 30-second closing remarks on what will be a winning strategy.
Absolutely, for all of
So have all of you.
So moving to Ms. Sarita.
Okay.
Moving to Ms. Sarita, and then we'll have the final words from Mr. Alok, and then Abhimanyu can give a closing remarks as a moderator, and then we'll end the discussion. Ms. Sarita,
Madam also not to.
Is it? Can I talk?
Yeah, please go ahead, Sarita.
Yeah. I feel as far as the corporates are concerned, I feel disintegration of the organizations as a single monolithic structures to distributed polyolithic, and building market, creating innovations, creating local ecosystems for the geographic equilibrium, and redefining business as cluster of people to cluster of roles or jobs, and capitalist systems to creative capitalism. But as far as schools are concerned, education is concerned, I think post-COVID the schools should redesign the entire system to focus on nurturing the whole child, balancing cognitive with socio-emotional skills development. Crisis management is the most important thing, because I don't think our students were prepared for this crisis. So I think the new system should be crisis management, emotional and mental health, which wasn't taken care because of online learning. Also ensuring that all children have access to the conditions and resources that enhance learning and development. And we have to make up for the loss of all their emotional well-being, which has happened during the lockdown. So I think this is what education sector should do.
Okay, Jaya? Your closing remarks?
I think Jay's done. You need to go to
Okay,
Alok.
okay. Alok?
And
Yes.
will give the final remarks after Alok is done.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Yeah, but in my sense, this post-COVID area, as I will talk about the infra industry only, we have to empathize to the customer also. That's because they are facing a lot of crisis. We have to manage our investor and stakeholder majorly for that, especially bankers, lenders, and all these things. We have to be there, and of course, we are with the customer, with our HR, and all these things has to be strengthened. Proper technology and strategy has to be set. And as you think that when we are doing this business, it is a very people's incentive business, because if you see that only for some 1,70,000, 1,80,000 customer, and we are having 458 employees across geography, is managing them is very difficult, and also very low paid employees also. So managing them is very difficult time. And as Abhimanyu Sabyasachi actually told sometime, that is the engagement. Actually, the employee engagement is the major essence now. We are going on doing the employee engagement initiative. When my chairman and other people was HR head and all this was not that much inclusive was there, but now everybody, every day we are engaging with them, with the employees and the customer. We have set up a war room also for that. We are making phone call to the customer also, and we are giving them assurance that we are with you. The good time will come, and always we will be with you. So that is the essence actually. Now we have to be very nimble and humble also, and we have to survive. So that is the message actually we have to give to all employees also.
Okay, thank you very much, all of you, for your great viewpoints. We all agree. We all come to the same page that today, in today's tough times, a winning company is the one who will get their leadership right. That is, constantly engage their employees with themselves, take them to their side with right strategies, right product development, right development of overall as a human being, and have tremendous empathy for the business and, of course, for their personal growth. Two, we all agree that in today's, this entire thing, innovation becomes an extremely strong point. Whatever business you may be in, if you do not innovate, you're bound to go back on time. Generating trust, as Sabya said, Kalyan said, Dr. Jaya said, all of you nearly said that generating trust with your consumers today probably is the most important task. Education industries may be a little different, and we will have to wait for things to get a little better. But even in education industry, how you place trust with your students, how you place trust with the parents, how you develop new models today become absolutely the key strategies. Today things have changed. Bigger companies worldwide have deployed manpower overnight to various different things which suits their role, which suits the company's need. They have generated trust with their consumers with new product development, new ideas, and of course taking in consideration all government policies. I personally feel that government policies really need to be taken into consideration for any economy to thrive, for any company to go ahead properly. And it's far better than rather sitting and cribbing on policies and various other factors. We as leaders, we as companies today generate trust in our own target market, in our own employees, in becoming better human beings, and in becoming better managers. I think these are the only key strategies that will work for anybody post-COVID era. Sitting and cribbing would not help. We have to be proactive. We have to generate trust in our consumers, generate trust in our employees, and most importantly, all shareholders of the company. We thank you all for being a part of this great panel discussion. Thank you very much for being a part of Ideasfest 2020. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining us here today. We have had some amazing speakers who shared their valuable insights on important, pertinent issues and topic. We are looking forward to seeing all of you again tomorrow at 3 p.m. wherein we have some amazing global speakers lined up for you tomorrow. Also, congratulations to all the winners who were honored today for their exemplary achievements. We look forward to recognizing the selected and the deserving business leaders and brands tomorrow.